Good morning, everybody. Hey, Kitro, thanks for being here. Seeing Havoc in the chat. Stream starts now, sir. 7:15. We got 4 folks in. That's great for a Wednesday morning. Pretty awesome. Yeah, went out for a run this morning. Felt pretty good, and so stream today. Let's see how far we can get on this Inertia³. Goal, I think, is going to be to probably set up some of the electronics. I'll walk you through what I've done so far. I fought with a Raspberry Pi install for, I don't know, like 6 or 7 hours yesterday. I could not figure it out. So I'll share with you all kind of what I did as people are still arriving and getting here. But for a Wednesday, are we just lurking, or are people working and have this on in the background? Like, what's the story? People home, work the evening shift. I'm on vacation again, so I'll have the rest of the week off. I'm really gonna do some work on this thing over the next couple of days. I will probably not stream again until Sunday like normal, and so we'll just do a little bit of recap. Windshield time. So driving to work. That's pretty cool. My drive is not that long. It's about 10 minutes. And on that side of the world where I work at, there's really no service. Finish up the V2. Okay. Backing up some orders. Nice. That's pretty good, man. Staying engaged. Jeremy from Lee Marie 3D sent me a little package the other day. A bunch of stickers and a couple of nozzles. I left it in the house though, so can't show it off, but it's a Basel. So if you're familiar with a Basel nozzle, he sent me 2 of those and some stickers. I think I have 1 or 2 of them kind of sitting up here out of frame. So we got this guy, and then we got a couple of these, this size, and then whatever the other size is, a little larger. What's up, Clown Hammer? Good morning, Yuri. And then a little bit of a magnet. What did I do with the magnet? This guy. Give me a magnet. So, a little bit of a goodie bag, and then way too many suckers. I don't eat candy. Sent me 4 of those suckers. Jeremy knows about windshields. Jeremy knows about a lot of things. Sorry, I'm still dying from the workout. I got back maybe like 10 minutes ago, so it was a mad dash to eat some bananas, pound some water, and then get out here and set up. Probably a bad idea to sleep in today. Well, cool. We'll get started. We've got 5 folks here. Hey, Clown Hammer. Good morning. How many bounces his drill can take? Yeah. All right, we'll get started. So what I've done is did a little bit of setting up of the electronics. So this is what we have here. What I'm going to do is resize the chat a little bit so we can get more real estate on the screen. There we go. We've got the board we are going to use. This is the Corvus G version 0.6. It has 2160 drivers on it, I believe. Yeah, 2160. I don't think you can see it on camera. Maybe. I think I got enough fidelity to see that. The 2160s times 4. And then on this side, you have Z motors, or whatever motor you want to use, I guess. I plan to use them for Z. These are 2209s integrated into the board. Cool thing is you can swap these 2 drivers out for whatever you want. And in fact, you can get one that has a heater and a driver on it. And so you have 2 additional heaters with 2 drivers if that's what you want to do. So a little bit customizable and really price competitive for other boards. It's just not out in the resellers. If you want to get one, you have to reach out to the dev, and they can work that out. Mocked up some bracketry here. These were available on the GitHub. So I printed these out. Good morning, Midnight Wolf. Printed these out, made a little bit of a mod to add some heat inserts in there, and then some M3 hardware holding it down. So pretty nice board there. Can run 48 volt across here. These 2209s will stay at 24. All you do is move the fuse. So these two red fuses, you just move from where it is over to the left, and that'll activate the 48-volt input. Got 4 heaters down here. I'm only going to need the one for the bed. And then well, actually, bed will go here. So realistically, I'm only going to use one for the chamber heater that I plan on putting in eventually. We've got parts and things and stuff to do that. I just don't have it up here on the desk. So whenever it comes time to install that, we'll do that stuff. We got some fan voltage selection. So like normal in today's boards, you can select what you want. So fan 0 and 1. I want to say, we'll look at the docks. I want to say those are 4-pin fans. So if you had a tack fan, you could put it there. I'm not sure why the jumpers are on there. I maybe have put them on there just to keep them safe. I don't remember. You have 6 additional fan ports here. You have 4 more fan ports here. These are selectable voltage. These are not. And then these will be 4 in stops. And then you have 8 thermistor ports as well. So a lot of capability in a very small package. And it runs a 723 STM chip. Morning, Jeremy. Morning, sorry, not Jeremy. Mrs. Lee Marie is here. Good morning, Keela. Yeah, so that's kind of the board. It's meant to use our tool head. That's why this connection is here. So it doesn't run CAN at all. So I'm sort of thinking through the solution on how to run CAN on this board. I may have to do the U2C and having another additional board inside the electronics bay, which is less than ideal, but I really need to use this board, so we may need to do that. And so you'll have an interface between the Pi and the board itself. Got one over in the desk. See if I can find that really quick in the gang of toolboxes I have over here. So yeah, we have something like this. This is an expander for CAN bus. That's probably not going to do the job. Really what we need is a U2C. And I'm feeling like I don't have one super handy. I didn't plan to get that far today. We're only going to stream a couple hours, take advantage of the time. I do have other crap to do, unfortunately, so that's going to take up a lot of my time. So if I can find this thing really quick, I'll show you what we're going to use, but it doesn't appear I'm going to be able to do that. It's probably in one of my plastic bins somewhere, I believe. Come on. All right. So that's what we did. With the Raspberry Pi, though, kind of ran into some trouble. What's the word? The bird? Oh, you guys are killing me. So what I ran into with the Pi, maybe you know this, I certainly did not, so I'll share my experience. When you download the new Raspberry Pi Imager, it wants you to set up all of your Wi-Fi credentials and everything in the Imager and then flash that over to the SD card as you're building it. But for me, at least, when I set up all my Wi-Fi info and I burn the SD card, I would insert the card in the Pi and it would just wipe all the Wi-Fi info. Like, it just would not keep the information in there. And I flashed 4 different SD cards. I used 2 different Raspberry Pis. None of it. What's up, Zombie? Happy Wednesday. We're here early. So no matter what I did, it just wouldn't work. Eventually, what I had to do was just download Mainsail myself and then flash that. Still didn't work. So I ended up connecting an HDMI cable to my monitor and then had to add a keyboard and mouse and just went through terminal that way to enable Wi-Fi, number 1, and then number 2, put credentials in there, and then it finally connected. But it took me about 6 hours to figure that out. And that's all because Raspberry Pi changed the way. They're not using that supplicant. They're not using the supplicant file anymore. And so it's a little bit more of a pain. So if you run into that situation, that is the solution. You're going to have to connect a mouse and keyboard and monitor to be able to log into your Pi and put your Wi-Fi stuff. Cool. So that was that plan. Then I was able to do mainsail setup and all that stuff. I built an entire printer config. We'll go ahead and power this guy up and take a look at what that looks like. I will connect this because I also found like a really strange error that I have no idea how to solve. And I'm hoping that by being on stream today, the hive mind can help out. We'll go ahead and add this fan on here. I need to do it. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll just slot that on there to keep things cool. It's probably going to get hot out here soon-ish. There we go. We got some nice LEDs on the pie and some nice cooling on there. I'm going to leave that. That's pretty low profile. That's going to be enough to stay under the deck panel. The water-cooled one, or I'm sorry, the air-cooled one that we were talking about using is too tall for the deck panel. So I'm not going to be able to use that one. This one fits. Or if you have one like this, which is even more low profile, it'll work out. Get a monster. So something like this would work too. This Argon 40 mini fan. It's got an on-off switch for the fan here, and then you have a heat sink. You'll just put a little bit of thermal paste, or if you have a thermal pad, which is what I prefer, you could do that, and that will work on there as well. So another option if you're looking for something even more profile, this is what it's called, Argon mini fan. Salted caramel Java? That is so gross. The coffee monster thing is ridiculous to me. I can't. That's so nasty. It's like you take Monster and brew coffee with it. That would be gross. Where am I getting all these pie coolers? The internet, Kitchell, the internet. I'll tell you what. If it's not on Amazon or inside of a Walmart, it doesn't exist. This one, this Eurobot. You can see this one here, this Eurobot. I got this one on Amazon, I believe. They're pretty affordable, like 12 or 13 bucks, or at least they were when I bought them. This one I got somewhere else. I don't remember. Probably China. There's Chinese writing on there, so I probably got this one on AliExpress. But I think if you search Argon Minifan hat, you may find it. It's designed for Raspberry Pi 4. This is a Raspberry Pi 3, so it doesn't exactly fit. It may. So you have to test your luck. I would just get the one that you have. Hey, Raj D. Good morning. Trying to quit, but all the gas stations went to bad brew as you go coffee. Yeah, too many of those monsters, man. Like, you can get kidney stones and whatnot. I'm not saying I don't partake, but I use it sparingly. This is a tool head we're going to use. I've already got the carriage mounted on the rail over there, but we need to run belts. So I'll move the camera and we'll probably do some belts and then see if we can get that going. That's assuming we can figure out some of this electronic stuff. So that's that, and then of course we're gonna run the Reaper. No hot end in here, but using vendor fans, so the high performance fans, and then what is that? A Honey Badger hot end fan. That one is 12 volt. I need to remember that 12 volt is what it uses, or I'll blow it up. So what I did was just mark it red. The way it stands out to me when I go to plug it in, and I know that I need to move a jumper or select a different port to be able to use. I'm not quite sure how on here the jumper works. So this one is a fan MOSFET, but there is a selectable jumper to allow you can kind of see on the back of the board here. There's a selectable jumper that allows 5, 12, or 24 volts for your fan. But I don't know, haven't read the documentation yet. I don't know if that's for only this fan port, which is near where those selections are, or if it is for all the fans. Because I only have one 12 volt fan, the other two are 24. So I need to figure that one out. This is the version 3 So to select clipper for this board, you need to go down on the top switch and to the right for the bottom switch here. That's how you select whether or not you want clipper or duet firmware, because this can run both. And then over here, this chip is the Max 31865. So it's meant to be able to use PT100 and PT1000 thermistors. You use the dip switches here to select which one you're going to use. So if you use a PT100, there's a different sequence of stuff. It's like the Konami code. And then for the PT1000, which we plan to use, you just take number 2 and push that up. So I did all that this morning. It's got Catapult firmware loaded on it. I have not connected it to CAN because we don't have anything set up on the printer. And then the thing that I thought was cool, if you want to put it into boot mode, they've got a dip switch there. You turn that to on, and then hold the button, plug it in, and that puts it in boot mode. Specifically because it's a Raspberry Pi chip, so it's an RP2040 on there. Any RP2040, that's how it's going to be. You're going to hold the boot button and then connect USB and then release, and it'll be in DFU mode. Everything else you have to do like the boot reset. Need to move the dip switch back on this one. So we're done. Done with the actually no. So the dip switch, I just lied to you. The dip switch is your 120 resistor. Your 120 ohm resistor for CAN bus. That's what that is. So if you need to add it, you turn it on. If you want to take it off, you just turn it off. That's what that is. My mistake. I did put the beacon type thing on the carriage already, and that connects over here. So it's just a tiny ribbon cable. But yeah, that's what we're gonna use. Didn't end up blowing up. Blowing up fans. Yeah, trying not to blow up fans, trying not to blow up anything. But definitely need to find that CAN bus thing, the U2C, before I can use this board. Either way, these two are connected. They are talking. They're communicating over USB, so we can take a look at what that looks like. I will take you over to Chrome. That's the board we're going to use, but we want to see this printer. So here we'll do that. This is the error that I'm seeing. Notch offset must not be in range 2 to 50. I don't know what a notch offset is. I've tried Googling this. I get nothing. So if I Google this, I mean, it says that, but I already know this. AI, you're not helping me. You're provided a constraint. Yeah, no kidding. Less than 2, but greater than 50. Okay. But I don't know what a notch offset is. And then if you come down to actual results, it talks nothing about notch offsets. It talks about X and Y offsets for when folks are trying to get their probe to move to certain areas in the bed. They don't have the settings quite right in relation to where your probe is, and so they're getting range out of limits or something like that. There's no information on what a notch off that I can, which is why we're over here. As far as I can tell, going through the config reference, I have this stuff in my config already, but even in the config, it doesn't talk about a notch offset anywhere, and so I don't even know what that means. Thanks for trying out the chat bot stuff, Midnight Wolf. Hot dog, bang hot dog. Yeah, so that's where I'm kind of stuck, guys. I don't really know how to move forward with firmware configuration with this error because it won't allow me to do anything else. What I can try though is to comment out this eddy.pz. So this one is the config file that controls the eddy probe that we're going to use. That comes with the V3 board, and it's basic stuff in here. It's just a bunch of macros, right? A bunch of macros, and then you have some configuration up top. All of this is fine. That's exactly what it tells me to do in the Clipper stuff, or sorry, the Calico stuff. And so I didn't see anything weird in there. What I can try to do is comment this out. Added to collection for thanks, man. I appreciate it. I made a floppy hot dog because bearded printer wouldn't. All right, so if I do that and then save and restart, I tend to get the same error. So now I have this unknown probe name, and that's because I don't have a probe defined after commenting out that section. And so in my Z, I've got the virtual end stop here. If I change that to something else, let's look at the board. Let's call it a I don't know, stop 2 or something. Yeah, so let's call it a S2. And then we comment out the rest of this. Now it's going to yell at me about other things. Yeah, so I have to have a position in stop now. Let's copy that. Back in here, we'll go to our Z. Here, do that, and then we'll call it, I don't know, we'll call it 0. Yeah, I still get the same error. I'm getting a notch offset error. And so it can't be the PZ probe. That was, hey, Low Sync, good morning. Fighting through a little bit of firmware, just trying to figure it out. If someone in the chat understands what a notch offset is, please let me know. But right now I have no clue. While we're here, might as well make sure Clipper's good to go. And that doesn't want to pull. That's funny. So hard recovery. Still not gonna work. I need a Bang B. I'll add it to the list. Here, let me take a note. Bang B. What should Bang B do for it? Let's see. Bang B. Got my note. Zombie, it is a Corvus G V0.6. I don't think that it is due to the board we're using. It's got to be something in the config. Specifically because I'm trying to do, I don't know what I'm trying to do, to be honest with you. We can go through the printer config and I'll show you what I have. I'm not noticing anything that is crazy, okay? So if I look at all my includes, I just have macros and mainsail. My macros are pretty simple. Mainsail is not touched. Notch offset is an encoder wheel. I wonder, one second. You may be onto something there, Low Sync. Let's see. Got auto tune, firmware, retraction, heated bed, roller fan. What's up, Jeremy? Good morning. Here on a Wednesday. I love that nobody's at work today and everybody's just on stream. Or you're cheating your boss out of money and time by being here. All about it. So my filament sensor stuff is commented out. Low Sync, I do. That's exactly what I'm thinking, is that there's like a filament motion sensor somewhere that it's pulling from, but it's commented out here. And I don't have anything else. These are all thermistors. This is shake tune. I've got some danger options here. And that's it. I am not including any filament run out anywhere else. I'll look in the macros really quickly. I could not figure this out yesterday. And so this is my standard macro. Remove your macros. I could do that. Let's try it. Take that out of there. I need to fix this clipper invalid thing. So unknown heater generic now. Heater generic. Where am I seeing that at? Right there, but it's commented out. Okay. Commented out. Oh, this one. That's because we don't have it yet. Do that. Does my display have an encoder wheel? It does not. I don't have a display. Unknown. What? I don't have a display identified in the config. And it's an HDMI 5. So it should not have an encoder wheel. Good morning, Boothie. Ducking out on chores, I see. Where did I put the heater at? So maybe we do something like that. Gardening. Everybody hates gardening. We have people that do that for us here. Hey, look at that. Oh, I was excited for a second. ADC out of range. Yeah, we don't have one connected. So that's the cool thing about Calico is I can come in here. Tool headboard have a config file. It does, zombie. I do not have it enabled. This would be the tool headboard here, and then the tool headboard is here. But I think it has something to do with the macros because as soon as we commented that out, as you suggested, it went away and moved on to a different error. So I'm thinking it has something to do with the macros. That narrows it down quite a bit. I'll take another look at that here in a second. Right now we got an ADC out of range. So what we can do is come into danger options. And there is a, come over here. Let's go to Calico. One. And then this. All right. So there is a way to go around ADC out of range stuff. I'm trying to remember exactly where it is. A little bit too small to see anything on your iPad. I apologize. It is as large as I can make it. Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go. Thanks for the reminder, Hergen. I forgot to hit the right button. I apologize. Sometimes I get distracted. Make that a little bit smaller. How's that? Can you see a lot better? Hopefully so. Yeah, guys, if I'm ever on the wrong window, just yell at me in the chat. I've got one monitor and I can't see everything all at the same time. So sometimes I forget to hit the right button. If you can't see, just yell at me. It's my bad habit. Thank you, Hergen, for making the mention. Let's see, heaters and fans. I'll tell you what, we'll just do this. ADC. Here we go. So heater intro. ADC out of range errors now include which heater and additional information to assist in troubleshooting. But we don't have one. I know that I can comment it out somehow by enabling different things. Danger options. Here we go. Or just plug in a thermistor. I could do that. I don't want to. I don't want to. I just want to make it go away. Because I'm going to have to unplug everything to put it in the machine. I want to get it all set up and talking and working to make sure that the board works. And then I can do a thing. right here. Ignores the min and max value limits for it prevents shutdowns due to ADC out of range. So we'll just add this line in to here. And we'll make it true. Yep, got it, low sync, thanks. And save and restart. Sometimes it just takes me a minute to find it in the config reference. Unable to parse. Interesting. What did I mistype? Oh, I didn't write. I wrote. Fat finger. I wrote temp, not true. I feel like we're on the same wavelength. Low sync. I think I am delayed from seeing you. I think your comment takes like 5 seconds to come up. Hey, there we go. Now we're talking. That's what I wanted. And I didn't even need to plug in a thermistor. Cool. Features of the board. You can see what your 12-volt temperatures are for that rail. You can see it for 5-volt as well. And then all 4 of your main motor drivers that are running 48-volt, you can see what those temperatures are as well. Lots of cool stuff going on there. Let's see what it's yelling at us about. Default, yeah. Auto tunes not valid. Cool. So it's yelling at me about auto tune stuff. That's fine. We can fix that in post. Really, the purpose of doing all of this is to make sure that the config, in the grand scheme of things, the config is actually working and nothing is going to blow up or heaters are not going to turn on and start to heat things up when I don't want it to. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm a fan of the animated background. It's not a danger clipper thing. That is a mainsail theme thing. The theme I'm running on the mainsail is called, let's see, it might show it over here. The dashboard, sorry, UI settings. It says that I'm running an LDO motion theme in dark mode. But I don't know that that's true because when I went into Kiao, K-I-A-U-H, however you guys say it, Kiao, Kaya, whatever you say, you can go in there and there's a mainsail theme installer. That's what I used, and it updated it to what it is now. But I am gonna do some other stuff real quick while I'm here. We'll do that. We'll call this. That way I know. Don't want that. I want this. And mess around with those. Had no idea. Yeah, you need to get in there. There's a lot of new features in version 6 of Kiao that really makes it easy. So things like, instead of talking about it, we'll just show it. We got to do a little bit of this as well. Anyway, let me get you over to the window. All right. Here we go. I'm going to resize this one just a touch. Then we can kind of see what's going on in all the main stuff. All right. So if I come over to, I like MOBA Xterm, and that's the program that we're using here. We can do R to accept it, and then we'll put in our password. Close. All right. Now we're in, right? Once you put in your password or whatever, it's going to go. Just updated a bunch of firmware with God. Yes, that's exactly why I like it. It's a one-stop shop to update all your things in command line or in SSH. And then there are additional features, and that's what we're going to do now. So that Kiao /Kiao.sh. And then it's always going to ask you, you can make it use version 6 exclusively by selecting number 3. But I like to have the option just in case things go wrong. So I'm going to use number 2. You have a meeting in 10. Well, appreciate you, Clownhammer. Thanks for being here. Make sure to like the stream before you leave and enjoy your meeting. And then if you want to update stuff, it's just a number 2. And it'll tell you what's out of date and what the most recent version is. And so right now I'm seeing I probably have these showing because in our mainsail window, we saw that there was an invalid clipper set up. So all I got to do is hit A, and it's going to update. Yes, and we can run some updates. This is how I set up my electronics. I like to set up things on the firmware side outside of the machine before I start printing everything in. Good morning, Martin. Before I start plugging things in, and it's in the machine where space is tight and stuff like that, I like to connect the Pi, connect the board. If I'm able to do the tool head board at the same time, I like to do that. Set up the CAN network, make sure everything is talking, and then I install it into the machine. That's my process. You can do it a different way if you like. I like that Shrimp Father comes into every person's stream and like exclamation points and calls out everybody. That's my favorite thing. And so as you're updating, you can set up different settings in here under this settings tab. So once you go in there and you choose to update things, you can have it back up your current config. So if something does go wrong, let's say you're in the middle of updating your Pi right now, but you lose power. You at least have a backup, hopefully, that you can go back to, depending on where that power drop happened. Or you lose Wi-Fi, or whatever the case. For some reason your Pi just stops processing information. You have that backup there that you can revert to if you need it. And this is probably going to take a minute. Clipper is a pretty large file, and it's pulling from Calico. Martin's an overachiever. Yeah. In the chat space, maybe that's true. In the meantime, I think we'll take a look at some of the board while that's going. So this is the config they want you to use. I think I prefer to have all of my config related stuff in my printer config. You can do includes, which make it easy to kind of separate out and segment different portions of your config. That way, if something's creating trouble, like we saw with the macros, you can fix that. I think I prefer to have like the hardware stuff, like fans, and in this case, you know, steppers and probes and whatever. I prefer to have that kind of stuff in my printer config. All of my macros, any includes that I have, like Shake Tune or PMC Auto Tune, Motor Sync, any of that other kind of add-on stuff, I like to have in its own config, so that if I do want to remove it or disable it in some way, I can just comment that out. Kurgan, there's not a kit for this build. Right now it's self-sourced. The information is right here. You go to this website. It's the github.com/inertiabros/inertia³. You can find all you need. This is what it's going to look like, except not blue. And then you can come in here. You have the CAD, different versions of it. I would recommend that you do the production build. You get a little more build area out of it in the x-axis. And then you have DXF, so if you need to order panels, you can do that. Your STLs are here if you want to see that, and there are a bunch of user mods if you want it. Working on getting everything ordered, Havoc. Okay. This configuration I did not find useful for me. It's a generic octopus config. Number one, I'm not using an octopus. And number two, it's so generic that it's not helpful. So there's nothing else really in here. This seems like a copy and paste from the Big Tree Tech GitHub. And then you have a config for your Nighthawk. So if you're using this hardware, it'll get you to where you need to go. The sample macros were kind of helpful. I at least got my in print and my start print out of here. And then you can do some of this other stuff if you so choose. But again, these seem pretty generic in their use case. And then if you're running tack fans, you can do some tack fan stuff. Hey, Jerry, good morning. Client, there was nothing in there. Yeah, that's what I remember. But yeah, that's the project. It's pretty cool. Think Trident, 4 stepper motors for Z-axis, linear rods on the Y, and inverted electronics, and 30-30 frame. Those are the big differences. So, which board did I? Yeah, it's fine. I don't mind asking questions several times as people drop in and drop off. What I chose to use for this is a Corvus G board. It's a lesser known board that you have to reach out to the dev to be able to purchase. I got this one maybe a little over a year ago, and I've been kind of looking for a project to put it in. I couldn't really couldn't use it on the rat rig. I didn't want to use it on the switch wire, and it doesn't make sense for the Delta either. So this project makes sense. It's a little quirky, a little different, but somehow familiar. This board is the same. 4 high voltage steppers, 4 low voltage 24 volt steppers, 48 volt capable. You've got 4 heaters, a bunch of fan ports here. You have 4 end stops and 8 thermistors. So I really like the board so far. Every high voltage motor driver has a temperature sensor in it, so I can tell what my drivers are doing. The documentation talks about it not requiring cooling for any of the stepper drivers, but they do still recommend a fan, at least circulating air across the board. We'll see how that plays out. I'll keep an eye on the temperature. If those do seem to increase, it does get pretty hot in this garage. They are going to have a top panel on top of all of the electronics once the build is complete. I'll keep an eye on the temps. If they seem like they're getting too hot, I do have a pack of heat sinks like this one here that we can add to all of the drivers and keep them cool. So that's what we're going to use. Fan voltage selectable. They are. On this board, your fan ports go here. These are selectable. These are not. So you've got 6 selectable. You've got 2 that are tack enabled, and you've got 4 always on. These are selectable between, it looks like 12 and 24 volt on your fans. Reminds you of a BCG K1 gantry, better frame and tool. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. 5160s won't even run without a fan. I agree, Zombie. The Kraken I put into the Trident, or sorry, the rat rig over there is suffering from a little bit of heat issues. I added a fan to that, and it seems to have fixed that issue. These are 2160, 3 amp capable, so a little better in terms of being able to manage the heat when compared to a 5160. I don't know how it's able to do that, but that's what the dev says, so we'll see. I do like that they have internal temperature monitoring on it. So even right now, right, if I go back, I can see what all my motors are doing. They're roughly 28.5 C each. Motor 2 a little hotter than the rest. So that's a nice feature. Direct solder to the board will help with, yeah. So 2 are direct soldered, 2 are pluggable, so that you can have, you can get 2 different drivers, right? So you have the one that I have, the 2160. Sorry, there are jets flying around. You can hear that, I apologize. You can get the 2160s that I have. You can get 2209s. You can get kind of a dual board that has an extra heater and 2160 on it. And so you can run 2 additional heaters, 2 motor drivers on the same replaceable board. So it's very capable. I actually really like the board, even more so a little bit than something like a Kraken or even like a Manta. I think I kind of like this. That's my plug for that one. Let's check on our other stuff here and see if we're done. Looks like just about. A few more dependencies here. Let's see if we could solve our invalid issues that we were seeing in the mainsail window. Come on, baby, you could do it. There should be no Python requirements. We've already looked at that. Anyway, so I copied all this to the config itself. This documentation for mellow being mellow, this board is documented pretty well, the SHT V3. And then you get into the little bit of a difference. Because they use an eddy probe that is shaped and fits where a beacon would fit or a cartographer would fit, they have to have their own sort of config for that. And that's what this is here. I'm using Calico. Natively, it supports the eddy current stuff that we see here for this config reference. I was able to copy and paste this into the file. But if you're using mainline clipper, you can add some additional lines and some additional additional Python scripts that will allow you to do it. So dependency stuff. And that's what this is here. So you can copy these into your shell terminal and add that stuff. It's going to give you some additional accelerometer stuff and some different macros and whatever that are built into the file. You could do all that, add it to your stuff, and then the wiring diagram is pretty simple. Connect the ribbon cable. And then you use all this these commands here to really fully install the automated script. What it's going to do is it's going to put the dependencies in your Clipper config for you. It's then going to add itself to Moonraker so that you will get updates as they come out. And then it's going to add in the config to your install. So it just makes it really easy if you use some of this stuff. I didn't do any of this because I already had my stuff set up, but you could. This one here, they want you to make sure that you set your XY offset. Once we get the toolhead installed, I'll get in there with a calipers. We'll measure out the distances and we can update that later in the printer config. And then you need to calibrate it. So some of the macros it comes with here, we'll walk you through that to make it as easy as possible. Recommend you do some of those and walk through this. So we'll have to revisit later, and then you get into I don't know, some model files. If you want to model your own hot end or whatever, you can find that information. So whatever you like. It's documented pretty well from what I can tell. Like I said earlier, I've gone through and flashed Catapult. So I've done these steps here to the board. We are at a standstill right now because I can't get the UUID without connecting to CAN bus. And so this is where we stop. I did the shutdown now step here and paused. We'll do the CAN config once everything is connected in the board. I don't have that third board that I need. It is around somewhere in this mess. I just need to find that. So in the meantime, I think we do a little bit of wiring, or actually let's run some belt. Yeah, let's run some belts on this. That way I can get the tool head on, and that'll complete sort of the mechanical side of the build. And then we can get down into electronics and see how that goes. I think that's the plan. So we'll do just a little bit of wiring. So I need to do some mains wiring. We'll put the boards in place. Now that everything is flashed, we can position things how we want to position it. We can run power and stuff like that. Make sure that things are connected properly, and then we'll move up and do some belts if we get time. Like normal, we're going to stream 3 hours. We're about 1 hour into it now. About 2 hours, I think, is what we have to go. Fun fact, there is no information on how to do belting. There's no information on how to do electronics in the Inertia³ guide. If I go to the assembly docks. These are still being flushed out. These are still being changed. And right now, if I go to the bottom of this guide, it's exactly where we left off. You get through the mechanical side of the build, putting skirts on, putting the bottom panel on, and that's sort of where it stops. Thanks for the sub, Parth Patel. Thanks for being here on a Wednesday. What part of the world are you coming from? Sometimes we get some international folks. We'll get Down Under Maker in here sometimes from Australia. We got some Canadians at some point. 3D HP Jerry, I know he's up in Vegas. He's a couple hours from here. Yeah, so this dock's not going to help us. So what I plan to do is just pull up the, let's go to, I don't know, we'll go initial startup. I'm just going to have to run through checks, but what I want is electrical wire. So there's some tips and stuff in here, and it talks about how to crimp and what to do. So if you're unfamiliar, I would recommend that you read a lot of this. Your smaller printers are going to be wired this way. I don't have this DC to DC converter. I may need to add it. The board is a little bit different. I want to keep my wiring to my Pi simple. It's a 3B plus, so it uses a USB-A connector, not a USB-C, which is different. It's the one board that I have that doesn't do that. Instead of running a USB cable or a USB-A or some sort of other power cable, what I would like to do is just power it via the GPIO pins. And so I just need to build a harness for that. Problem is there's not a place on the main board to pull a 5-volt source from that is clear. Of course, I have thermistor ports and I have fan ports and things like that. But there's not one dedicated for it like there would be on an Octopus or a Manta. So there are two options. I can do this DC to DC converter here, or I can get a different thing. I've got a USB-C version around somewhere. Let's see if I can find it. I'll show you guys. Yeah. No, that's not it. See if I can find this thing real quick. And I cannot. But there's a small box that looks very much like this DC to DC converter, but it has an extra output cable that is a USB-C cable. And so you just provide power to it. It outputs the same 5 volts, and it's a very clean install. I need a version that is USB, I guess it's not USB-A, it's a USB micro. I need that version. So I need to make an Amazon order today and see if we can get that in before Sunday. I think it's possible. In the meantime, we could do wiring here. So we'll look at, I think Trident wiring makes sense. It's going to give me length and requirements. Cool. Actually, let's see real quick. So does not include exhaust fan. So we're going to use basically 24 gauge for most things. And then for your heater type stuff, so your hot end heater, your bed heater, and your ground wire, those need to be 20 gauge or better. I have 20 gauge over there. I even have 18 gauge that I stole from a power cable. I just cut the ends off and stripped out the core, and that's 18 gauge. So at least 20 higher gauge is preferable if you can make it work. Terminals, we have diodes are not a thing anymore. In stops, cool. We'll do some of that. And then your controller wiring, depending on what you have, you can sort of go in here. Let's use the Manta as an example. It'll give you visuals on what to do. Again, none of this applies to us, but the wiring kind of will. Okay, so this SSR portion we'll pay attention to, and I think that's where we'll start because that's pretty easy. I like to wire up my mains first, and then I start connecting things to my board after that. That just gives me personally the ability to see how my mains are wired. And if everything is checking per the schematic that I'm seeing, then I can do that. The reason I do it first is because once you start adding a bunch of stuff, it kind of gets covered up and hidden, and it's hard to really tell what goes where. Mains wiring is the most important. I do it first. I do it while it's clean so that I can verify it's correct. All right. We'll do some of that. Take you over to the printer here. I'm going to keep this page up in the background. You can kind of see it in the top corner there. We'll move your chat box just a smidge so that we get a little bit better of a view. There we go. So I took the camera down from the overhead, put it in this position so that you can more clearly see what's going on. In the meantime, I'm gonna make sure the Pi is good to go, and we're gonna shut that guy down. It's still doing stuff in the background, so I don't necessarily want to shut it down yet. But what I do need to do, we'll kind of talk through it. So this is some wiring here for my bed fans. I plan to do bed fans on this to help regulate and increase the chamber temperature a little quicker. We've got under here, there's some other, I think you can see that. There's some other cabling here, too short to come on camera, for your thermistor and your bed wires and that kind of thing. So we'll need to do some of that. I've printed out, thanks to Double T, printed out this bracket here. This is going to mount to the bed frame. I'm not sure why the camera is not focusing. Let me fix that for you all. Zoom. Turn that back on. There we go. All right. So this is just a bracket to accept your bed wires. So you'll have you're gonna switch your live. Or sorry, you're gonna put your, what's that thing called? Oh man, not the circuit breaker, but the freaking thing you put on the bed that if it gets too hot, it pops and kills the power. Whatever it's called, temperature regulator thing. The words escape me right now. So that's gonna plug into here, and then you'll be able to run your live, and then you have a neutral wire that'll be able to connect here. That way, if I ever do need to take the bed off, we can just unplug from here instead of having to route wiring through cable chains and then back up. That just makes it a lot more painful. This makes it very clean and easily accessible and replaceable or serviceable. So we need to add that to the bed. I can do that really quickly. And then on the other side of the bed, kind of away from the camera, you can see, well, you can't see, but on this side I have a similar connection for my bed fans. And then over here on this right side of the printer, we're gonna add this guy. Let's see if I can move you up a little bit. See this? Yeah, so it's just under the bed, enough to not be seen. And then the other port here, this one here, this is for a fan connection. So you'll have a fan splitter, but I'm going to use it for my thermistor for the bed. That way I'll plug in the thermistor here from the bed, and then I'll have another one coming out going to the main board. Again, just to keep things serviceable. And we need the right tools. Is it ready? Yes, Liz, it is ready. It's already pretty. So if you're talking about being a good thumbnail, yeah, it's ready. Good morning, Bearded Bucket. We're almost there. We're almost there. We have to do a little bit of electronics. Just these here. Once we get this stuff in, it'll be ready. Trying not to drag this out. I really need to do some work, Liz, over the next couple of days before the next stream. And if I can get that done, it'll be ready sooner than later. I was just doing the math on this, right? If I spent 3 hours once a week, only on stream, only building when we're streaming, it would take me somewhere in the neighborhood from start to absolutely finished and tuned, it would take somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 to 17 weeks. That's ridiculous for a single project. I need to move quicker than that. So as much as I would love to only build on stream and keep stuff visible to you all, I can't do that. It's just not going to make sense. So yeah, so Zombie agrees. As a fellow builder, you absolutely know this will not be a black box project. This will not be a black box project. So I need to move faster. So what I'm going to do, and this is the first announcement. You're going to hear it here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build in the background, and I'm going to post progress on my very own brand new Discord channel. I have not set it up to add Discord into the chat yet. I will, so that as we're talking about it, it'll post the link. But I will post the link really quick. And if you guys want to see behind the scenes and you want to see updates as we go versus just being sometime, you can go here and you can follow along. So we'll post this in the chat. There you go. And we'll even pin it. So if you care and you want to see what's going on, you can follow the progress there. I'll try to post as much as I can, and it'll be great. Either way, we're gonna do as much as we can today in the 3 hours that we have. Let me check on the Pi. Pi is still updated. Just finished updating. So let's see if I can shut it down. Make sure it updated. I'll take you over to where I'm at. So Clipper, for whatever reason, refuses to update. We'll have to probably do that manually. Back at 200 Discord servers? Heck yeah. I mean, if you don't have your own Discord now, like, do you even stream, bro? Relying on your streaming your Johnny 5 Lego build has... Yes, Midnight Wolf. That's exactly what I'm talking about. If we are hamstrung by only streaming it, and never making progress otherwise, it would take weeks. And so you're kind of limited to like 1 or 2 projects a year. In my opinion, that's kind of boring. I want to see stuff move. I want to see stuff work. Yeah, I love hanging out and talking, but this is less of a chat and chill stream and more of a let's do some work stream. So that's my plan. If you're mad about it, I'm sorry. But we got to get projects done. So I'm gonna start working behind the scenes to get this moving along. I'll take photos along the way. If you want to see that kind of stuff or ask questions, jump in the Discord. We could talk about it over there. Is that the max? It might be the max. I think so. I know that Discord does have limits on things and stuff. Shut that down. And we're done. We can exit out of here. Cool. Now I'll just bring this. We'll bring that like that, even though it doesn't matter because we're going back over here. 200 is max for Nitro. Whew. You want to build 1,000 projects but don't have the time. Yes, Zombie, I can relate. Even right now, right? Projects that I have parts for that literally I could start today if I wanted to. I have a a tool changer. I have a Rat Rig VCore 3 400 that I could do right now today. I have all the things I need for a V-Chonk. I have all the things I need for an Ender 3 NG build. I have what I need for a 3D Sets build, and a Antithesis and Hedamame. Like, so what's that, like 6-7 projects that I could start today? But due to time constraints, I can't do it all. And streaming slows things down. I love you all, but talking and doing this takes time. A lot more time than you would realize unless you're doing it. These things I kind of like. So you can kind of see them here. These are just distribution blocks that mount to a DIN rail. I got them from Amazon, and they come in like a 10-pack. My plan is to use one for 5 volt and one for 24. So I'll run, that's why they're in this position. I've got all my mains kind of back in this corner. So 48 volt board here. This is the mellow volt up board. That'll take 24 and convert it to 48, which we can run to our board. And now that this is shut down, we can disconnect stuff on the desk. We could do our main board here with my power connections on this end. We'll have our Raspberry Pi connection here. If I were running the dedicated toolhead board for this, we would connect into this port and to this USB here. And then because of that, I'm going to use my Pi, and I want to say I'm going to, I'll turn it this way. Well, no, I want to be able to access these ports, so I'm going to turn it away from everything else. And we'll put these two pretty close together because that just makes sense. And then at the end, we'll add in some channel raceway through here, and we'll hide all the stuff underneath. What are the DIN mount main things called? These here, I think they're just called distribution blocks, like power distribution blocks. That's what I call them. That's what I know them as. I think if you search that term on Amazon, you should be able to find them. You may be able to find them on AliExpress or whatever as well. So I added a metal bracket to my Pi. This is just a converter mount to take an SSR mount, convert it to a Pi, and now I can mount something with a solid base. I was not able to convert this one yet to use a similar metal bracket, but I think I will in the future. Which is why I just printed these with printed part brackets this way. So that'll go on. Try not to press on anything that matters. Stretch, and we're good to go. If you don't want to spend money, use those. If you don't mind spending $4 and you want a metal bracket that you can reuse over and over for different things, you just make different mounting brackets. You can kind of do this style. I wish I had rotated this. Because now I need to install this way to be able to access stuff. So we'll push this down. I learned this recently. If you push this all the way down, some of them will lock open like that. And so now all I have to do is come in after I get it in position and just add some force onto this bracket here, and it snaps into place. I didn't know that. I forgot who showed me that. I was like, man, where was that like 2 years ago when I was doing this stuff? But anyway, that if you have a hard time holding that open, because it is such a strong spring in there, that is one option. And then you just sort of, oops, don't do that. Sort of lift up on that tab in the back, and it works. I think I might have. So something I failed to do, like these brackets that I printed to support my bottom panel, I printed them in a weird orientation. And so I cracked one of them, and I'm hoping that the rest hold up because there's a touch of flex in that panel. I don't have anything in the center here, and I feel like I need support here in the center. But now that everything's in here, I'm sure we'll be fine. We'll put that like over here. We'll just create some space in here for the other parts that I have, which are some cable ties. So we've got something like that. Yeah, always learning something new. Sorry. Oh, the green, white, blue thing. This one here. So these are individual connections. I forget the name of them. They come out like this. So you can buy different colors. I don't remember the name of these, but they came from West 3D. They have, I think they're like DIN wire connections or something. You can find them on West 3D in different colors. I've got these. I've got some in black. They're very, very useful. You could do that. There are multiple styles. This is just the one that I have to make connection over to my port very easy. And then I plan to use some more flexible wire in that area. I just need to find my 20 gauge or my 18 gauge. This is 18. If you're building a printer, something like this is absolutely necessary. Get yourself some 18 for your mains. And even you could probably use this on your 48 volt and your 24 volt. It's overkill. You could use 24 gauge for most 24 volt wiring, but 20 should be the smallest, or sorry, yeah, the smallest you go for mains wiring. I'm taking extra insurance using 18. What's up, Iconic Fab? Good morning. Just seeing you pop in here. Hard to keep up with chat when there's, you know, so much going on. But get one of these. You can tell that I've used all of the black wiring out of it already. But we do have green. We got multicolor. There's some green. There's some red, and then I think for ground we can use. Sorry, ground we can use green, and then we'll use blue for the black wire. We'll do it that way. That way it's pretty close. And then you still have white and yellow. I've got a lot of these kits. This is the 18 gauge one. I've got everything from 22, 24, 26, and 30 gauge. And then I've also got some 22. So get yourself a range of them, especially for self-sourcing. These came from Amazon. You can find these there. Too bad you can't incorporate basic stamps into a 3. What is basic stamps? Found like 10 from when Radio Shack closed. I don't know what a basic stamp is, but I'm also not an electronics guy. You have to explain that one. And if it's something really silly and easy, I'm just dense today. I also got these from West 3D. These are a new wire stripper. It's kind of close to the one I was using before. I was using this one before. Same concept, different. So this one grips this way. This one is more straight grip, like that. I want to say I got this one in Japan when I was out there. Yeah, it's still got Japanese lettering on it. I got this one out there because it was what I had available. I like this one a little better. This one is plastic. This one is half metal, half plastic. But just the ergonomics on this one seem better to me. They feel better in my hand. Let's say it that way. They do the same thing. But a good wire stripper is going to be useful. Something else I learned. The black one you broke? What? How'd you break it? Did you put like a full man strength on it? Something else I learned. If you're in here and you're stripping in here, the stuff you're stripping ends up all over the place. It can end up down in your power supply. It can end up under your electronics. Probably a bad idea to do that. So what you should do is strip outside of your printer. So come outside of it like I am now, and you can strip here just a few things like that. Same thing happened to you. How'd you break it? You use it when renovating your house? I use these only to do printers, which is pretty light gauge. I'm not stripping, I forget the name of that wire. Romex? I think that's the name of it. I'm not stripping Romex. I am just stripping, 18 gauge wire. And it worked fine. I do like that it comes with these adjustable Velcro strips, so you can keep your wiring tight and just adjust it as you use it to keep things from falling all over the place. What I like to do is just strip one end, and then I'll add a connection to go over there. I got one of these cases. This one came from Harbor Freight, but there are many styles. Choose the one that looks the best to you. What we're going to use is like that. Spade, female spade connection. That's where you need your other tool. Way back. I'm gonna try not to bump the tripod here, but I'm going to need to. So we'll do that just for a second, so I can move this tripod without making you sick. I'm just going to bring out the other tools I need. Oh, hey, I found my Knipex. Nice. What I was looking for. And then we'll get you back to where you need to be. There we go. That white balance is adjusting. That's good. I've got the doors open in the garage today, so it doesn't get 100 degrees. It's supposed to go up to 100 today. Yesterday it was 107. So pretty hot. So like that. If you want to label these, you can. I don't, but one thing I will do, since these are bare, the ones that are already on here have a silicone cover. So if you do happen to reach in here and touch something by accident, you should not get shocked, but I would recommend staying away from that. I plan to make sort of a small cover that'll go right here to cover all of this. But that's me. I'm going to add some heat shrink to this. You got yours from AliExpress? I will be honest, the West 3D stuff probably comes from China as well. I don't know that it's better or worse than what you got. Mine came in the mail a week ago, and I've used it, what, twice, 3 times maybe, and so far so good. So I'm just looking for some heat shrink here that will fit over the thing we are working on. Be sure I got what I need here. So I've got this clear stuff that I can use to cover terminals and whatever. So that's what I'm gonna use. I hope it shrinks down enough to cover that. That does look a little bit big. It still works. There's just one part of the metal broke loose from the plastic. Uh-oh. Doesn't sound good. The only other smaller one I have is a tube this size. And this will fit in there. I think I'm gonna go with that just because it'll shrink a little tighter. It will be yellow though, which might not be a bad thing. Maybe that means warning to keep your fingers away from it. So that's what I'll plan to do. We'll do some of that here first. I will go through and label all the wiring for the other stuff, but for mains, I normally don't. If you know what it is, then you know what it is. Like, why do we have to label it? Anyway, the next tool you're going to need is one of these. And this is another tool I got in Japan, indicated by the Japanese wiring, or the Japanese writing on there. And this is just a wire crimper for this style connection. It's a very beefy tool. This one is solid metal. It feels like freaking solid steel. It weighs close to a pound. If there is a lighter weight one, I would recommend getting that one instead. So I'm just pushing that through until I can kind of barely see the end of the wire come out. And then I'll put crimp on there to make sure that's good to go. And then we should see something like that. Once we get that, just give it a little bit of a tug, make sure that doesn't come off there. Obviously, if you're pulling it ridiculously hard, it might come off. But you just want to do enough. All right, so I'm going to put that heat shrink on there to cover anything metal all the way up till about 1 millimeter or 2 from the end. We're going to get some heat, stretch across the desk. Small P basic program interpreters, great for hardware, PWM, and analog. No idea what that is. I told you I'm not an electronics guy, but it sounds cool. Add a little heat shrink to that, just so we protect ourselves. And that works great. And then I will plug that into right next to where the black wire is. So for us, blue is going to be black and red will be red. Black there, we've got red wire here. And so for this one, I just kind of measure out across the blue things that we were talking about that I don't know the name of. Who was asking me about it? I think it was Tactical Printing. If you do find the official name for this thing, let me know. I don't know what it is right now. In connections or whatever. I'm gonna leave a little bit of slack in this cable so that I can sort of push it down towards the panel. I want to be able to put a small piece of a small piece of channel stuff right there. I think that'll keep my hands out of it pretty well. And then I'll VHB tape like a top panel on there to hide all that and to keep my hands out of it. So that's the plan. And to be able to facilitate that, I need to create some slack in my cable. I'm just doing enough to go down to the panel with a little bit of slack in it. This is pretty soft wiring, so I'm not worried about that. And again, to be able to not drop parts inside the machine, you take the wire out and you can strip outside of the printer. Come in here, we'll do the same thing, like that. And then for this one, we don't really need a terminal like that. But what you can do is if you have a collection of ferrules like this, you can use these. I've got several different colors, several different sizes. They all come in a kit. You don't want the smallest one. I think the one that works the best is probably this like one size up one. There's no indication of which one to use. I would say just use the smallest one that goes on there. And then from here, you need yet another tool. Something like this guy here. Something like this. And a lot of these kits, these ferrule kits will come with this tool. So if you need it, get the kit that comes with the tool, make it a package deal. Crimp that on there like so, just like we did before. Give it a little tug, make sure you're good to go, and then you can install this. I always close the case because I've knocked it over before and had a huge mess to clean up. We'll go inside of this one here, put the lever down, give it a tug, make sure it stays, and it does. Should be good. And plug this wire into where I need to be. Like that. We'll do another one. So the IEC itself came with the ground wire, and it came with the two black and red. It had the wires we're making right now, it did come with, but they are very short, even too short to go to the block, even though that's maybe 6 inches away. And so that's why we have to make these two cables. If you get the right one, I don't know what the right one is, but if you got a different one, it may come with longer cables, so you don't have to do this stuff. But here we are. Again, purpose of the build is to try and use the stuff that we have. Another option for these is you can buy the spade terminal male ends with covers already on them, like this one, and you could use something like this. Recommend doing this so you don't have to heat shrink and whatever. Just trying to demonstrate both methods. I feel like this white balance on this camera is crazy. 1 second, folks. Let me make myself look not so pasty. Maybe not that crazy. Something like that. I think that's a little more accurate to what's going on. I just looked over and saw that the camera was very, very washed out. Make that tight again. Get some of this wire out of here. We use the crimper with the, the spade connector with the cover already on there. And so far we're up to 4 tools used. And strip this one outside the machine. Let that go on the floor where it belongs. I'll add this on there. I know that I said today was supposed to go to 100. It already feels like it's getting pretty damn close to 100 in this garage. Looking over at the weather station, it says 78. Man, it feels so much hotter. Do it that way. Put some man on it to make it go. That should be good enough. Let's see. Good to go. Doesn't come off. Come over, we'll hold that in place. And give it some slack. Cut that about right there. Good to go. We'll do the same thing. Strip the end of this outside of the machine. Always twist the ends. Just makes putting ferrules on a lot easier. Otherwise, they just make a mess. There. Probably done with these connections. Put those. I don't know if you guys do this, but I always try to clean up as I go. It makes finding what you need a lot simpler. When you don't have stuff everywhere. So like before, I'm gonna use this green one. That seemed to be the right size for an 18 gauge. Kind of just twist that on there like so. Close this up so we don't make a mess. And then get our ferrule crimping tool. Do that. Good to go. Ferrule side in first. Just easier to get to that way. Come on, you can do it. Didn't make it through. Some of these are a little weird. Blue one went in no problem. That one took a little bit of. You saw that snapped back, but it's not like fully closed. It snaps down. But then it's still loose in there, so you have to press it all the way down the other way. Then once we get that one, we can plug in this lower part of the switch here. There's our mains wiring. Now we're going to go from the block over to the power supply. We're just verifying with our Chrome tab here, looking at the wiring. We have done from the inlet to the terminal block. Now in the diagram, we don't really have that. In the diagram, it doesn't have that terminal block, but we did add that in there. What is going on with my cam? I'm frozen. Interesting. Let's restart that guy. I didn't even know I was frozen. Let me, sorry folks, let me fix that. It is getting a little warm in here, so I think the camera might have taken a break. There we go. There we go. All right. So looking at the Chrome tab, don't really need any of this stuff over here. We've got from the inlet. Keep in mind, I do have that intermediate break here with the connections, and then we're just going to go straight over to our live and ground and neutral with the same color wiring that we used before, except this time we're going to use fork terminals and ferrules. So when I say fork terminal, I mean using the same kit as before. We've got ring terminals indicated by the circle, right? Makes sense. You have spade terminals that look like spade, so are flat, and then you have a fork terminal, looks like a fork. For something like mains, if able, if you have access to these ring terminals, I would use a ring terminal. That way, even if that thing loosens up over time, this is not coming off unless that screw comes all the way out. So that's what I'm going to use today is 3 of these blue ring terminals. to be able to connect to my power supply. And then I'm going to use the ferrules into the connection here. So many tools. Yeah. On this build alone, we're using 4 plus flush cutters. What's up, Kegel? Thanks for being here on a Wednesday, even if you should be working. So ground is to the rear on the power supply. I'm gonna go with ground first, and that's the closest here. We're gonna kind of sort of run under the SSR into here. And I'll use this tab to sort of hold everything back. Again, we'll put this on there, and that'll hide that and help control it. Separate the dangerous power supply stuff from the low voltage stuff, which is easily accessible towards the front of the machine. That's my thought process on the layout and why I have things the way they are. There's still a lot of real estate in the build for VHB taping something here. If you have a bracket, you do have some room behind the power supply. You have some room in front of the main board stuff here that if you wanted additional tie downs, you could do that. I've also printed some really cool stuff. These are 3D printable zip tie mounting points. I'll probably use some of these in between the boards here to be able to secure wires to as we go along. I still want to do LEDs in here, so I've got a couple of brackets, these here, that will hold on some matchsticks. And once I put those matchsticks on there, you'll be able to illuminate the bottom. And then up top in the chamber, I've got some other colored ones that we can use for traditional chamber lighting. Morning, you pain in. Oh, you worked last night? Going back? Okay, you're on night shift? Remind me what you do for work again? I'm really terrible at remembering details like that. So I apologize. I'm gonna do my my ring terminal first, but I do want to make sure that hole is the right size. So I'm gonna remove this protective cover. If you guys don't have these covers with your power supplies, this is just a clear protective cover that it's got 2 pins on it that just fit into the holes on the black plastic portion of the rail. You can get these from DigiKey. They're like a few cents. And you just put them over your power supply. You could obviously print something to cover that if you want to. Again, just trying to keep things safe and not touching what you want. Not touching anything you don't want to touch. With electronics being inverted like this, every time you open that panel, you're taking a chance of something falling in here, or you reaching in here to do one thing and touching something else. You really want to cover as much as possible. I plan to print a cover for that SSR. We've got covers for this. I'm going to make a cover for that back there. And then our 48 volt has built-in covers over the terminals here, just to try to prevent as much as possible any inadvertent touching of things that could hurt you. Rules to live by. What am I looking for? I need a small screwdriver, like this one here. And I'm just going to double check to see these screws are sufficient in size to fit through or not. So double checking this, and they fit. So I also there's like a, you could see the way that that's crimped. There's a flat side, and then you have like a drop down here where the wire would be. I usually put that side down, creating space above the connection to add additional wires if I need to. I don't know why I would be tapping into any of the mains wiring for anything else, but on my 24 volt side, I definitely want to do that because you run out of voltage attachment points pretty quickly once you start adding things. So if you think you got one for your main board, I've got one for the distribution block, I've got another one for my 48 volt converter. That's all of my terminals there. If I want to add anything else that's going to need mains power, I'm sorry, 24 volt power, I have no additional ports. So installing things upside down like this makes it easier to be able to do that later. Store that there. Playing in the software over here, making sure catching anything you guys forgot. He said that's exactly why we cover things, because we drop things. Doing this one here is gonna be ground. Go back with Big Johnny here. Getting a really solid crimp on that wire. Again, still using the same 18 gauge. One thing that happens is, like, once you crimp down, it kind of deforms that. You can easily just bend that back to where you want it to be, and it's straight again. We'll go from here, add our screw in. For these, I'm just going to attach to the end point. I want to try to keep these as short as possible. Just so that I don't have mains wiring everywhere. Get myself a little bit of slack on the IEC port. But that's so that I can get in there and disconnect and replace that port if I need to. But for this one, I do want it a little bit shorter, so it's not running everywhere. I'm going to go under that SSR like that to keep things tidy, and then move my wiring to where I want it to be and try to just use kind of a flow to put things in. I'm using the orange latch as a gauge to determine where I cut. So I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a little bit of a step down in the center of these connections. And at that step down is where I've been cutting. And that gives me enough to be able to cut the wire and strip the wire and then insert the wire without being too tight or like way too loose and floppy. And this is one of those instances where it's I said not to strip inside the printer, but I will do so anyway. Just try to knock the other ones out of there. Doing this so you can see what's going on. We'll do like that, and you can see that I caught it, and I'll move that over there. Just keep an eye out for those. Twisting, coming back, green barrels. Come on. Whew. I don't know about you guys, but 3 hours of wiring is enough for me for today. I think we'll definitely get the mains done. I'll probably get some other stuff done too, assuming we can find the U2C connector that I need. Sweet. So we've got just enough slack in there to make it make sense without being too much, and then that tucks up under there nicely. Should be done with that. Move on to our red wires, which is the center on the gray connection. I think neutral is black actually on. I'm trying to look at that power distribution. I know we did black to blue, and that would be our neutral line, and then our live is red. So they sort of cross over at the PSU here. Like so, twist it up. Get one of our ring terminals. Okay, so this wiring is easy. We have to use pins for some of the terminations that work for. I don't know what an RS422 is, but I agree. This wiring is not hard. It's just a little tedious, right? Because every crimp matters. If you get one wrong, it's difficult to find which one it was. And especially on mains, you want to make sure you get it right. So I'm just taking a little bit extra time to go the little bit of an extra mile to make sure we're good to go. But yeah, anything that is like a multi-conductor cable in a very small housing where you are come on, crimping over and like 20 connections for a single connector, that sucks. It's very tedious. One of the shops at work is their whole job, is to build wiring harnesses for all of the things that we test. And so they tap into all sorts of sensors and antennas and all these different systems on the aircraft, and it has to be removable. So it's a ton of connections, a ton of wiring, and it's beautiful. It is so beautiful when you see it done. You have some machines that are pinned vendor specific. Same. Our stuff is a lot of Canon connections because they're easy to service, and it's aviation, right? So aviation uses their own sort of wiring style and all that kind of stuff. They got their own connections and whatever. And the work these guys do is awesome. I went through their shop and they gave me this grand tour, and we spent maybe, I don't know, an hour and a half talking about what they do, why they do it, how to learn it. They gave me their backstory on how they got started. I mean, it was a super cool tour. I got to see everything and ask questions and see the tools they use and all that. I was super impressed. As someone who does this as a hobby, I would love to be able to do what they do on their level. I'm nowhere near that. I try to keep things clean and tidy the best that I can, and we'll see. Now, with the size being the same as a Trident, could I be lazy? You absolutely could. If you had a source. Something I got when I built my very first Trident about 5 years ago is this. I don't know if this is for sale anymore. This one is still in the package wrap, but it's a Lineo V2.4 and Trident wiring kit. It's made for a 350 SKR, sorry, a 350 Octopus with thermistors and I forget what RAB is, and then accessories. My thought process is that this is a through the cable chain type wiring harness and not exactly what we're doing here, but that's an option. Or I want to say you can get at KB3D, you can get one of these, which is a DIY wiring harness. And this kit I have opened and looked at, and it comes with what you need. So you do get your 24 gauge, it's all black. You get your 20 gauge. And so those are the two that Voron recommends when you're wiring printers. If you want to go a little bit specialized, you can get something else. That's what it comes with. You get some zip ties and some mains wiring and connections and all that stuff. So if you wanted to wire an entire machine, you could use this kit here to do so. It's a little bit older, so it does come with all of these Molex connections that you would use on a tool headboard. But then you get a few labels, you get some JST connections, and then you get a what's it called? A legend that you could add to your printer. So if you were to wire it this way and use these labels, you could just stick this inside your panel and know what is what. Of course, you get the obligatory branded sticker, and it even comes with some of those ferrules. Very small, by the way, ferrules. Yeah, so it really has all you need except for the tools. This, I want to say I got this at KB3D, but it's been, man, 4 or 5 years that I've had this thing. Never used it, never opened it. It's here. I had it sitting next to this machine because I had planned to use it. We'll see. I kind of forgot about it until just now when you said that. So anyway, that's what it is. I would prefer to use 18 gauge cabling on the mains wiring that we're doing right now anyway. So I don't know that I would have used that kit specifically. But for the rest of the wiring, we may use that. I do like that it's all black, so it's very stealthy. It's not going to stand out. You're not going to have a rainbow of wiring in your printer unless that's kind of what you like. Trying to go for as clean as possible. And so black wiring kind of makes sense. I don't know how much that kit is either. Havoc. So if you find it, I would love to know what it costs these days. I think I paid less than $100 for it. I don't exactly remember though. I could be wrong. But I wouldn't call it being lazy. I would call it being thoughtful. Like, you can spend your time building a custom wiring harness, which is a lot of time. Or if you just want to have a project be completed in a reasonable amount of time, you cut out a whole day of wiring just by getting a kit. I don't think that's cheating or being lazy. What am I doing? Oh, blue wire. Here we go. Sorry, I got a little bit of allergies going on. Starting to like get a frog in my throat and a little bit of congestion. But I was out there pretty early. Started exercising at 5:45 this morning. Did about an hour, and then I had enough time to catch a breath and get some water and eat a banana or two before we started streaming. Wife and kids are gone this week, so just me at the house, and I'm loving it. It's so nice. Not that I don't like them, but man, I'm a girl dad, so I'm outnumbered at home every day. And it's nice to wake up and not just hear people yelling at each other. Like, my daughters are just mini versions of the wife, but they have no control over their emotions. So one of them is a sweetheart. So they were on stream last week. One is an absolute sweetheart, and she is thoughtful and keeps to herself. She can do all her things, but she's, you know, a little bit of a Santa Claus. I fear that she can be easily taken advantage of. My other one is a firecracker. My 6-year-old is not as quiet and nice, and so like from 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock, whatever time it is that she gets up, like, it is yelling, it's complaining, it is just loudness all through the house. So I feel great to like just wake up and just not have to deal with any of that. But the wife's dropping them off to catch a flight. They're going to Nana's house for the summertime. We do this every year. We send them out there every year. Celebrate 20th anniversary. Congratulations, Havoc. 20 years. We are at 18 together, and we have been married for 13. So yeah, kind of a little bit behind you there. Your wife still has no control over her emotions. my wife. Oh man, you got me dying. My wife, bless her heart, stressful situations turns her from this like really fun, like bubbly kind of lady into just rage machine. I feel bad for her going through an airport right now with the kids, because it is so stressful to try to get 3 bags, 2 kids, and herself through TSA when you know, my 6-year-old does not listen the best. She is her own thing and her own person. Trying to manage that to get them on a flight in time, I know that she's like flipping out. So shout out to her for taking on the task of getting them there on time and getting on a flight. And it's not like it's, you know, up the street. She had to go all the way to Vegas, so, you know, 3.5 hours from here just to do that. But I'm enjoying the quiet time. This is kind of my my Father's Day reward. So this coming weekend is Father's Day, if you haven't noticed, and make sure you call your dads. But this weekend is Father's Day, and my gift, I suppose, is to have some quiet time this week. They left yesterday about noon, and I am here until Friday evening is when she comes back, and even when she comes back, we won't have kids, so that's pretty nice. I'm looking at the fan wiring here for these side fans. I think that can reach without a extender of any kind, but when we were building the rat rig, I remember there was a small splitter board that took one fan wire, split it into 3 additional fans. I think I want to get one that splits one fan wire into 2. That way I can control both with one fan port. I'll make a little mount for that up here, and then just run that single wire over. Although we do have enough fan ports to do both, so we'll see. In the interest of cost, maybe we don't do that, but it's an option. And to keep things clean, what I will try to do is run these under the pie here. And that does fit under there, keeps that one clean, and I can plug that into one of the fan ports there and see. We'll do the same here. Run that under the pie, inside the DIN rail. Come on, you can do it. It's almost there. See it. Another option, just take this off of here. Get off of there. We'll plug it in just to keep it pure. We'll see if I can. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit too tight for that particular fan to go under the pie. So maybe not for that one, but for this one, we can definitely do that. And this one we'll just kind of run under the bracket a little bit. And I don't want to plug that in yet because I need to verify if the pins are correct. So I live near Ontario. I do live near Ontario, Hagel. Ontario is about 90 minutes. If you really want to know what area I'm in, look for Lancaster, California. That is the closest to me. Wow, 2 hours in. Very nice. Okay, what's next? We could probably go back to Chrome. We'll probably do a little bit of this SSR wiring. I do need a 2-pin Molex. And then, let's look at this board. So heat bed positive, heat bed negative. I wonder if those are output. Probably need to review the doc here to make sure. Go to this one. So this is the user's manual for the board itself. You'll notice that it's a lot less flushed out than a well-documented Manta or something like that. But you do have some basic information on the board and what you're able to do. And it tells me that I have 12 fan ports. Because why not? We need all the cooling. You have 2 12-volt 4-pin fans. Yep, we saw that here. That's these. You have 6 jumperable 2-pin fans. We're probably going to use those. And then you have 4 fixed voltage fans. Those ones typically you cannot control like on and off or PWM. So if you want to make it quieter or louder, that is a challenge. There weren't any flights out of Ontario. There are flights out of Ontario, Bagel. There's nothing direct. We wanted a direct flight for them. So my older one is 15, my youngest is 6. And my older one, being the sweetheart that she is not as street smart as we would like her to be. I'll say it that way. And so we are not confident that she's able to manage like transitioning flights or catching a connection. So we needed something direct. The closest direct flight we could get from here to Little Rock, Arkansas is out of Vegas on Southwest. So that's why. Las Vegas, you can pretty much go anywhere. If I fly out of Ontario, Burbank, or LA, I am almost guaranteed to have to connect. For me, it's fine. For her, it's fine. For the kids, we wanted direct. Cool. So then we go into talking about Clipper. We did all that. Not on stream. I did that yesterday and this morning. I used this as a basis to build my config. I like that it is sort of like Clipane and sort of like RadOS, where they have aliases for all your pins. So I don't need to know what a PG8 is. I just put M0 stepper, and that seems to work. So I can just put this in my config versus this. So as you're going through and reviewing, and you may not know where PG8 is, but you probably have an idea what motor 0 step is. So it makes it very easy. Everything does make sense. So anything with an M is going to be a motor. Anything with an H is going to be a heater. F is going to be a fan. T is a thermistor. And then S would be stop or in stop. So it's pretty logically built. These are all the available thermistors. I have those set up in there as well. And then you are also able to see thermistors on your drivers. We go into basic config for all the things. Those all make sense. Our config is good. Heaters and fans. Here we go. Only use heater pins 1, 0, 2, 3, and bed for driving heaters. These do not turn on while the 32 is in boot mode. The same is not the case for the other pins, such as fan 4. Connecting heaters to non-heater ports may result in catastrophic results. We don't want that. Okay, fan volts. Here we go. 12 is to the left, 24 is to the right. I intentionally set everything to the lowest available when I got the board. So all of the jumpers that we have right now in place are for your 12 volt pins. And that is so that I protect the circuits. If I happen to use a 12 volt fan, it's going to work. If I put a 24 volt in a 12, it's not going to blow up. Used to fly direct from Houston to Ontario. I mean, maybe like Houston Airport's a little bigger. Ontario, you could probably fly direct to. But going from West Coast to Midwest, I guess Arkansas may be considered the South in some areas. But that particular route is not. I wish I knew which side was positive and negative. Maybe it says on the board itself. I can get my head in there. It does, actually. So it does. On the board itself, it says that the negative pin is the left side, the positive pin is the right side. My fans are exactly backwards. So we'll have to repin those. Cool. Before setting the voltage, ensure that all hardware attached is actually rated. Okay. I mean, I think I can run 24 volt to the board. I can run 48 volt to the board. I can also do, I think I can sort of wire the bed to the SSR. What I'm trying to figure out, so we're clear, is what, if I look over here at the picture of the board, these two lower pins are labeled HB. One is labeled HB positive, the other is HB negative. Doesn't matter for what we're doing here, but to the SSR it does. So I'm trying to figure out, like, is that the voltage in for the bed, or is that the voltage out for the bed? Because right now, I don't know. Or is the bed using one of these heaters? I guess we should look at the main config. Let's see. Heaters for your bed is PC6. So that tells me that's an output. 0, 1, 2, 3. So these terminal blocks must be for the output of the bed, based on what I'm seeing for a config. Because otherwise, it would be one of these H0, 1, 2, or 3s. And HB is its own thing. I go into the config for the printer. See what they have for a bed heater. They don't have one. In my extruder, there's nothing for my bed. But I I want. Does it say it turns on and off? It's gotta be. So is it using just, that's the part I don't know. Is it using 24 volt to trip the SSR? It's not clear to me what voltage it's outputting. I mean, it's got to be 24 volt. We're gonna send it. That's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna connect. I feel comfortable enough based on the config and the aliases to say that my heat bed should be connected to these lower two pins on the left side. So that's what we're gonna do. It's 24 volt going to an SSR. The documentation tells us that I can use 24 gauge for that, which is a smaller gauge. If I want to use up the wiring that we have here in the kit we talked about and that I shared earlier, we're gonna need some cabling and some wires for that. So not only do I have all the connections I need in here, I also have the wire. So there's the 20 gauge. Don't need that. Pretty much everything else we do except for 48 volt. We should be able to use this 24 gauge black wire. So I'm gonna do that. We will keep these pins and stuff in here because I don't need that. I'm gonna use some of these labels. That way things make sense. I do have some connections that I'm not going to need. The rest of this is fine. I don't really, what is under here? Nothing. Yeah. The rest of that we can come back to, but these labels and whatever I will use out of the kit. The rest of that is just connectors that I already have in containers elsewhere. Okay, we need 24 volts from here to SSR. I also have labels that I ordered on. So I have labels here that we got from Etsy. These are not the heat shrink kind. These are more like rubber or silicone, whatever kind of stuff. And it is gonna do the same thing. I think I like the stand-outiness, if that's a word, of these. So I have one for each of my motors. I have them for all three end stops. I've got probe, 24 volts, some grounds, and that kind of stuff on here. For these other labels, it's a little limited to these here. So I don't have something that goes to my SSR. And I just have the one 24 volt power supply. I don't see like a ground label or anything. So I'm gonna mix and match between these two kits on what I'm actually using. If you see something different, that's why. I should be able to get away with using my, I don't know, some of these heaters and fans and stuff like that. But even then, it doesn't cover everything like it does here with the, you have individual Z motors that I can use and individual end stops I can use. So that's sort of my plan. I'm going to use this ground right now, and we're going to use this 24 volt right now, and that's what we're working with. Look at this wrap wheel. I don't know why I've never used this. I built several printers and wired them from scratch. I think I just had this in like one of those totes, those plastic totes, and it just got buried and forgotten about. Pulled it out just for this purpose, because even this beta kit does not come with wiring, and because of that, I want to use up some stuff. Look at that. We got wire. It's 24 gauge. Looks very thin, but they say it works. And this is a what's it called? What's a very fancy? You like the braided covering? You mean like this stuff? I mean, like this. So I could do that. I don't normally do this braided covering inside of my electronics bay. It does look really nice for those that do it that way. I just don't. I'm just wondering, like, do I have the right crimpers to, or sorry, the right strippers to be able to do this? Oh, similar to that. Do you use the colored stuff? That's like green and blue and red and whatever. What am I doing here? I'm doing fork terminals. I hope that they're able to grab this. 24 gauge just seems very small. You did your Merc with some. Yeah. Nice, dude. I don't know that have I seen your Merc? Did you post it on Discord or something? If you have, I've probably seen it and forgot. It's hard to tell, like, whose build is whose once you see so many of them. Put that on there like that. And I'm labeling this specifically because it's all going to be black wire. So labels are even more important. I need a fork. Actually, we'll use a ring terminal because it's going to a screw on the SSL. Oh, thanks, dude. You just joined my Discord. Appreciate you. There should be... I'm not familiar with, like, what you can see or not. Yeah, so many of you joined so fast that Discord is yelling at me and asking me to to say whether or not you're good. So I'm approving you all right now. Learning in progress. Yeah, so if you're able to access printer builds and drop something in there, Havoc, then I would encourage you to do that. I would love to see. You did also? Yeah. Discord yelled at me. It was like, hey, we saw, 12 people try to join your thing in the last, like, 30 minutes. Are you okay with this? So I just had to approve all of them. So hopefully you're able to go in there and post a picture of your Merc. I would love to see it. That's really kind of the reason why. Like, we talk about a lot of stuff, and people are, hey, I did this build, I did that build, and I love seeing all of that. But instead of, like, searching around when you guys share, I would love to just go to one place, and that's kind of the reason for it. So hopefully it can be yet another hangout spot for everybody. We'll see. Just trying to find the correct terminal. I've got some smaller ones. I'll make sure that these screws go through there. You did also? Thanks, man. And Havoc, I'll jump over here real quick and see if we can see it. And now you made me want... I'm a bad influence. Where'd you post it? I'm seeing your intro. Seeing a lot of intros from Midnight Wolf and Holtz and Hergen. Who's this? This is... Oh, there's Havoc's. Okay, so... Yeah, if you jump into... It could be like printer builds. You should be able to post something in there. I'm not seeing it right now. Oh, there it is. Just came through. Oh, nice. Black and green. It looks very rat riggy. Such an aesthetic. Make a Discord called Yet Another Discord. You can. I was thinking of titles like that when I made mine, but I felt like it would just confuse people. Liz, we're still going. We're still going. Cool, so that fits through there. It's good. Every time you ask if it's printing yet, Liz, it's gonna add another week. Just saying. Can you teach me ways of cable management? Liz, I could talk through it really quickly. I like to keep them as short as possible without being too short. You want to have some, let's see, am I showing you the right screen? Yeah. You want to have some slack in here so that you can sort of tie them out of the way. You want to use a flexible-ish cable. This is FEP wire, so it's a little bit less flexible, but it's smaller, so it can hide pretty easily. This one, I just think about flow. Like if I had a rope and I just wanted a nice gentle curve, that's what I'm doing here. So it just kind of gently curves under the SSR and then into the terminal blocks here. I'm gonna do my best to do that same process everywhere. I'm not always successful. Sometimes things get cluttered and cramped, but that is my way. Like, I don't know if that helps you or not. That's how I think of it. That's how my brain works. And I just try to keep things neat. Label, label, label. Everything. You don't know what's going to work and what won't. And if you need to go back and find something, you're going to appreciate labels. I crimped the hell out of that. I think that's secured. It doesn't feel like it's coming off. Can I teach Prusa because they do not do it well? Liz, there's a reason I have not built a Prusa or bought a Prusa. I think cable management for those guys is a little bit of an afterthought. It's still like how we used to do stuff back in the day. Like, I don't know, 2015 is how they wire their machines. So, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it either. But I think they just kind of cut cables to length and use the same all the way through for mass production. I don't know that they're able to make harnesses one by one like what we're doing here. Positive, this is the negative. Here again, just trying to make that flow. And because I know that I'm going to want to tie this, I take my little DIN cable tie mount. I'm just going to add that here because I know I'm going to want to tie to something. Snap that on, and so now I know that I need to kind of wrap this around here, wrap that around the cable tie, and then into where I'm going to put my wire. And that'll give me a good idea of what I should do for length. So once I tie that down, I'm going to tie it kind of halfway here. But I don't necessarily have a process other than thinking through how I want them to lay and thinking ahead of like what else still needs to go in there. It is a Corvus G, Josh. It's the version 6. It's a project I got over a year ago. A board I got, and I've been kind of searching for a project to use it in, and this one seemed to be the right project. It's a really cool board. There's a lot of capability in a very small package. I mean, I would say that's probably the size of like a New Day Ender 3 board. And then you have to add a pie, of course, because there's no room on the board for it. But look at those beefy caps on there. Like, this is a 48 volt capable board in a much smaller package. The only other way to do that would be to do a Octopus Pro, which is getting a little long in the tooth. Scroll back in the issues channel on the Corvus Discord if you want to see a video of you blowing one up. Oh, geez. I'll do that for some entertainment later. I think that might be a little too violent to show on stream today. But yeah, I like seeing fails. It keeps me from feeling so bad when I do it. We're gonna use yellow for the SSR. That way it looks different. I only have a few of these, and so I'm gonna use them on things that matter. Most of the other fork terminals I have are red, and so I'll use that for normal like 24 volt stuff. But for my SSR, I'm gonna use the yellow. Help me identify wiring later. Oh, Happy made it. Love it, dude. Thanks for lurking on your lunch break. The wire go through? Yes, it is. So the tough thing is you need like 3 hands because the fork terminal tries to rotate and it needs to be in place. So one thing you can do is sort of place it where you want it to be, add some tension to the tool because there is enough slop in there to allow that thing to move. And then you insert your wire in like this. Make sure you can see just a millimeter or so sticking out the end there. Well, you know, you got it where you want, and then you go full man on it. So with these small wires, you really got to crimp down on there to capture them. Otherwise, they'll pull right out. Like that, right? So I crimped the hell out of that, and it just came right off. And that's because these wires are so small. I am not using the tool head board. I didn't get one. You had issues that you couldn't ever resolve with EMI from 48-volt motors messing with it. I did not get one, and I'm using a more normal tool head board, using a SHT V3. It's over here somewhere. I moved it somewhere. I don't know where I put it. Well, that's another tool board lost. I don't know what I did with that. Either way, it's an SHT V3. But we've been calling it the shit V3. And I'm going to use that. I know it's a CAN bus board only. And this board does not have CAN bus natively. So we'll have to run a U2C or some other CAN enabling device. And I'm okay with that. We'll figure it out. All right, so that did not work for us. So what I'm going to do instead is get some needle nose out. Get another tool. We'll crimp on even more. Just want to get the K wire back where it needs to be so I can slide it through the very tiny gap that it slid out of. And I apologize if you can hear all the... What's up, Kittrell? Apologize if you can hear all the jets out there flying around. There's nothing I can do about it. I live at the center of the aerospace testing universe and we fly airplanes out here. So Josh, what did you said you had your Corvus board in a Trident? What's the component in the rear left with the fan in front of the power inlet? Oh, this guy here. This is a mellow volt up board. I can show you what it looks like a little easier. I have another one down here. It takes 24 volt and converts it up to 48 volt. So it looks like this. Mine just has a fan on top. There are 2 bosses here to be able to install a cooling fan for the MOSFETs. But it takes 24 volt in, sends out 48 volt or 60 volt, depending on what you set your jumpers to. Mine are set to 48, and we're going to run 48 volt on a quad XY gantry. So that's what this is. That's another reason we're going to use the Corvus board is because it is 48 volt capable, and it's the only spare board I have that is 48 volt capable. So a little bit forced into it, a little bit really wanted to use the board. And so here we are. This wire is so small that nothing will grab onto it. So unfortunately, I don't know that I'm going to use this wire for what we are using it for right now. It's probably best suited for a Molex type connector. Like I said earlier, this wiring kit, was probably meant for when we used to run tool head boards through cable chains on a Voron probably 3-4 years ago. I don't know that it's the most ideal setup today. So we'll get some thicker wire. So again, just get the kit, right? Get one of these kits. This wire is 24 gauge. It is very flexy, and it's got a much thicker jacket on it, so you're able to actually grip it with connections. I just got mine run through here. Some of them have this, so you can just keep it in the box. Others do not. Tell them to stop. What are they doing? You've got your Corvus in a Trident. Recently reworked electronics in it with a flex power PSU, Pi 5, Corvus, and a Nighthawk. Nice, man. I thought about doing a Nighthawk on here. Have you been able to connect your Nighthawk via USB direct to the Corvus board, or do you need... of course, you need the little daughter board that comes with the Nighthawk setup. Or have you been able to go direct to the board like that? That's something I'm thinking through. I think either way, whether I run CAN or I run a Nighthawk, both require a secondary board. But I'm not sure how the Corvus reacts for that. The documentation's a little light on stuff like that. But I have considered a Nighthawk. I have several over there that I need to use. But I also have this mellow board that I need to use. And it has an integrated eddy sensor on it that's kind of like a cartographer or a beacon. And so instead of adding yet another thing, like I would have to add a cartographer, and I don't believe I have one here. Instead of adding a cartographer, I'd like to keep it all contained into one. All right, that's a little easier to get through. USBs for the toolhead board. Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's specific to that, but I can't use it for data for anything else, or can I? That's what I'm asking. Can I use it for connecting? I don't know. Let's say I had whatever I did with my toolhead board, right? I don't know, wherever I put it. Why can't I find this thing? I literally just had it on the desk, and now it's gone. It's not in my pocket. I didn't do that. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll shove things in my pocket because my hands are full, and then I lose where I put them. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I do that. And somehow I have misplaced the entire toolhead board as we were moving things around. I'll find it in like an hour. And I'll be like, oh yeah, of course I put it right there. Whatever. It's not like we need it right now. But what we will do is I'll do the round terminals with the screws, and we'll make those. Let's see. I think yellow is going to be too big. We can do blue for our SSR on the main side of it, and then for the 24 volt side of it, we'll use the yellow. So I got 4 yellows. I do. We can't mess up anymore. I've only got 2 yellows left. We could use blue. We've got blue. But they're large. So, no, I've only got red. Let's see. Do I have any others? I have a crap ton of electronics components and stuff and things. And so, hey, I found my U2C. That's good. So just looking through, yeah, I've got more forks terminals down here. Also got a 5 volt power supply that I could use. And more of those DIN connections as well. So maybe we add 2 more for a yeah, we'll do that. Oh, sorry. Now I'm back. I've got had to find some more fork terminals. I've got this one I've already kind of set up for a Raspberry Pi. This is off of a different build that I've since decommissioned. So maybe we can repurpose this to power our Pi with good solid power. I know there is a DIN mount for this. I just need to print that out. And there's just enough room to put this guy kind of, we move our Pi inward a little bit, about in there. There's just enough room to place that on the DIN rail. We could also VHB this pretty much anywhere. we wanted. So we'll get through some of that later. Let's see. You might be able to, not good enough at electronics to figure it out via the schematic and maybe docs. I blew up 2 boards because you screwed up the THB umbilical for your gunshot. So the THB umbilical, is that the one where you use one of your thermistors to power your Pi? I think I remember seeing something about that in the Discord channel. My plan was to go back and read that at a different time when I'm really ready to start powering things on. I'm not at that point yet. I just want to get the wiring done, and then we can think about making sure we plugged in like Pi power and stuff like that correctly. What do I want to do here? Strip. Here we go. I don't want to strip. I want to strip wires. No, the THB umbilical is the 8-pin Molex. Got it. Connector on the cord. Got it. I wish there was a pin out because I would love to use that Molex. I would love to use that Molex to power my Pi. So if I can just run like a short cable here or, you know, around here and connect into my GPIO to power my Pi direct from the board, that would be my preference versus adding in yet another large box. Especially since I need to add in one of these just to get 10 capability. So if I've got this and I need that to kind of go in between, but then I still need to add this, it's just more stuff. And I like to keep things simple because simple means that you can keep it clean. But you blew up a board by improperly connecting that? I didn't realize it was that tedious. How much the 5-volt rail on the Corvus can support? Well, a Raspberry Pi is not that much. A Raspberry Pi is not very taxing. If you can power a tool head board from that port, you should be able to power a Raspberry Pi. Like the power draw for the Pi is roughly the same. Okay. Let's see if that will stay. 24-volt wire is no joke. It is tiny. Okay. It looks like it's gonna be on there. It's great. And because we're using blue will be our SSR. We'll use red for the other connection, and obviously black for the ground negative wires, and red wire for the red wires. So blue connections and then red connections for the others. All right, again, trying to. Well, actually, no, we're not going to do that. I was going to say we could use these blocks here. But that doesn't make any sense, so I'm not gonna do that. I just realized that one's loose, which is cracked there. So we'll just take this off. If I can get it off. Yeah, I'll check out the Discord for Corvus and see if there are. Get out of here. If there are other things we can use that port for. If there's a pinout for it, I'm pretty sure, I feel pretty comfortable trying to use it in other ways. That'll go there. Gonna come around and it'll go into the negative side of the board here. Set up, we'll do another. Again, we're going to use for our SSR, we'll use blue. Oh, I got to do the This is our ground wire, indicated by the black, but also because I'm going to put this label on there, which means it's official. And Josh, if you're still around, can you confirm for me the connections that I'm using? Right, so the two connections towards the camera are for bed. So this is bed out 24 volt going to my SSR. Can you confirm that? THB has 12 volt, 24, ground, D plus, D minus. Yeah, so probably not a good source. But the 24 volt could be useful. The 24 volt in the ground could be very useful. The bed out indeed does go to the SSR. Great. It wasn't exactly clear to me, making some inferences. That's what made sense, especially since I just wanted to make sure it wasn't bed in, right? Like I didn't need to feed in a specific bed power. I didn't see anything in the docs that said I needed to do that, so I just made the inference that I didn't need to do that and that it was a bed out instead of an in. Trying to straighten out these ports. That is on there. We got the connection on there. And just like before, place this in an orientation that allows it to go face down. This guy here. This guy underneath. Hold that in there while you tighten it down, because they do like to slip out from time to time. I've also had instances where these connections like that are so small that they won't accept a fourth. So after I made the wire, after I crimped it, and it wouldn't go in there. So what do? Well, what I did, I don't know if it's the right way. The right way would be to get a connector that's smaller. What I did though was just take some needle and squeeze the forks together to make it smaller, and then kind of press it in there, and it seemed to work. That's what I did. Now, whether or not that's correct, that's up for debate. Well, it's kind of cool that after, almost 3 hours, we still have 13 folks here on a Wednesday, no less. I can't get over that. So what I'm doing, I'll just take this zip tie. There are 3 tie down points per purple mount. I'm just going to run some zip ties in there and kind of give myself an idea of what I'm going to do. So I'm going to lash that one like so, and that'll keep that pretty tidy there. And we'll do the same for this red wire that we're about to make for the SSR. I think what I'm going to do though is shut up a little bit and start working a little bit. But if you guys do have questions or comments or stories or whatever, feel free to share. I'm still trying to keep an eye on chat. Still trying to engage. Anything but gardening? Wiring, I don't know. Wiring, for me at least, is like watching paint dry. Like, I hate doing wiring on stream because it's a little tedious. It's hard to get a great shot without blocking a lot of the camera. And luckily I have this tripod, and the camera that you're viewing through is very mobile, and so it can be rotated around and all that kind of jazz. But when I get my hands in here, I block everything that you can see. So wiring is just a challenge to make entertaining. Put that down. Like right now, you can't see what I'm doing, but ground to the ground side, positive to the positive side. Make sure that you're adding these to the input side of your SSR. It'll say something like this one says 3 to 32 volt DC as your input. On your output, you're going to get 24 to 380 volts AC. So make sure your SSR is the correct way around. Your wife thinks you're crazy, but you find... Yes, I am saying I enjoy the process. It is not the most fun to film and talk about while you're doing it. But I agree. I love coming out here, putting headphones on, listening to a podcast or an audiobook, and then just going to town on some wiring. Like, I can just knock it out and not even really feel all that stressed about it in that environment. But it's different when you're streaming it. So I have to be conscious about talking. I have to be conscious about working and doing my best not to block you from seeing what's going on. There's just more considerations with it. Don't for a minute think that I'm, whining about my first world privileges here, but it's not the same is all I'm saying. Not exactly the same. But yeah, for me, this is kind of like doing a puzzle. Or if you're a Lego person doing Legos. I don't know if Lego Therapy is here today, but he's a Lego guy. And his therapy is doing Legos. I think, like Josh, mine is probably doing some of this. Boothie can attest. Spent a lot of time yesterday in SSH trying to figure out why my Raspberry Pi was not working. Firmware is annoying to me. I do not like firmware, but wiring, building, I'm good with that. The mechanical stuff, I'm good with. The problem solving and the critical thinking that errors in your firmware requires, that's a little less fun. But yeah, my wife thinks I'm crazy too. She thinks I'm crazy, but she supports me. She absolutely, like, when I get very ornery, she'll be like, go to the garage and build something. Like, she's very good at telling me that. I think now, at this point, I've gotten her to the point where if there's an event coming up where she wants to gift me anything, she knows that she needs to go to one of the printer resellers and buy me stuff. Well, that's good. And if somebody's willing to, more than once, buy you something for your hobby, they support you. I mean, and she's co-signed on like the H2D that I got. She allows me to have basically an entire half of the garage to do this stuff. So, I mean, that's about as much support as anyone could want. Gonna zip tie this here close to the SSR to make sure these run together. I'm using very small zip ties. These are the kind that you would find in a V0. So they are, I don't know, maybe 2mm zip ties. Make sure you get quality ones, not the cheapo ones that are almost free. Like if you're buying a 100-pack of zip ties and they cost you 25 cents, they're probably not going to be that great, and they're probably not going to cinch down. The little tab inside will break. So just keep in mind, cheaping out is not always the best solution. All right, so those will run sort of like that. And again, we have that wire channel that will go through here and kind of clean that up even more. Those will go there and be secured that way. I'll do one zip tie here to keep that tight, and then these will come through. If I need to undo it later and route stuff, I will. But I'm going to not zip tie to this yet until we run the rest of these. And so we'll do that, and then we'll probably call the stream there. I need to add a couple more ties. We'll do one this way. Put the tool in there. We can pull that out. There we go. I need to get some new, smaller needle nose. These, I don't know if you could tell that, but they don't close at the tip. They are still open. So if I'm trying to really grab something small, they don't do the best job. Probably just need to get a larger tool on there and smash those back together so they touch. That's a later. Hobby Lobby has good zip ties. They do. Harbor Freight has some as well in the larger size. If you go on AliExpress and get some, like, you really got to be careful. I've gotten like 1,000 pack or something on there of the smaller 2mm zip ties, and when they showed up, like, it's a crapshoot whether or not they're actually going to cinch down. Really intrigued by the Inertia³. Really hope someone ends up bringing one to Murph. Josh, I think there's talk. I think someone is trying. It's one of those projects that's still relatively new to the point where only the closed beta folks have them. And I don't know off the top of my head which of those closed beta folks are going to Murph or not. I'll tell you that it is exciting, right? It's a new-ish printer, but in essence, it's a Trident. And when you see a Trident, you see a Trident. Now, I say that full well knowing that I'm building one right now. I am not taking anything away from the project, but it's another Core XY in a square box with electronics. It is Quad XY. That's probably the, I don't know, the more unique aspect about it. There are not a lot of builds out there that have Quad XY by from the start. It's always like an add-on or a mod that you have to do. So in that instance, it's not super exciting, but I mean, you get to see one, that'd be cool. Or you can just come back here every Sunday at 0700 Pacific time, and you can see this one as we build it. I like option B. A more chunky frame and all-wheel drive from the start. Yeah, I mean, that's what drove me to build one. I like a 30-30 frame. I have a 30-30 V2, thanks to Mr. Boothie, who may be in the chat still. He has a project out there on printables and some of the other places where you can use an old hypercube and convert it into a V2.4. So now you have a V2.4 with a 30-30 frame, and you can do the same with a Trident. The main difference about this one, yeah, like you said, is the all-wheel drive, but also on your Y-axis, you have linear rods versus rails, which makes assembling and squaring your gantry a lot easier. We did that last week, and assembling that gantry was great. It just squared right up, no real issues at all. With your other gantries, you're gonna have to spend some time tweaking, adjusting, and then even after the fact, when the printer heats up, it's going to change its shape slightly, and that may induce a little bit of binding or whatever as well. I just noticed I never swapped over my power supply, so I'm going to do that while I'm thinking about it. There we go. And then we'll make a few more cables here. We need, what do we got? We need one to our 48 volt. We need one pair to our board itself to get 24, and then I need one from the 48 volt to the board for that supply. So we need to make 3 more pairs. And what I'm going to do here is, I know that I have more connections that allow me to have 24 volt labels. Motors and install. That's why you want to build the Trident Max. Yeah, dude, I love the Maximus. I didn't see the Maximus until I had already gotten an Easy Bake frame, and the Easy Bake frame is great, but it's not a 30-30 frame. And I mean, they use 40-40 at the rear for the rear uprights and 20-40 up front, so it's probably similar in its rigidity, but again, it's not a 30-30 frame. And after building that rat rig over there, that thing is massive. It is heavier than my 350 Easy Bake frame Trident. That's probably due to the steel bottom panels and all the 30-30, but it's beefy. Very, very beefy. Gonna add another label here. This is 24 volt. I'm gonna put this on the board side of things. So I'm just gonna put it over both cables. That way it has double duty. It's working as a label, but also keeps those wires kind of together. These being silicone, it's a little tight, but it should work just fine. Come on, buddy. Probably should have done that before I crimped them, but it worked out. Just Google the Max. Yeah, it's a chonky boy. But it's also why I want to build a V-chonk. So I have a frame kit for V-chonk. I've got all of the printed parts for V-chonk. I've got the bed, the control board, and then we'll build our own wiring harness. I've even got extra motors and stuff like that. So it'll definitely be a use up spare parts kind of build. But again, it's time. We got to get this project done. Maybe if there's enough interest, that's what we do next. I'm always looking for what the next thing should be. What is different? What is something that you haven't seen a ton of? Like, I don't know how many Trident builds I've seen, or Voron in general builds I've seen, and they're all great. And everybody has their own way of keeping it entertaining. I prefer to do things that are off the map a little bit. I'm not brand loyal per se. If it's a cool project, I'll build it. If it's a cool printer, I'll try it. Hey, thanks, Zombie, for being here. Enjoy your day, buddy. See you on your stream later. But yeah, Zombie's got a good idea with the NEMA 23s. And if you didn't want to do that, you could do the Kraken motors on it too. The Kraken motors are not NEMA 23, but they have a lot of the same capacity for power in the sense that they are 3 amp capable. They're also, you can get them with 8mm shafts, and you can run them at 48 volts. So definitely suitable for like a CNC type thing, like a NEMA 23. It's more common for a NEMA 23 in the CNC world, but something like that Kraken motor would do well. All right, so if I take 24 volt from the PSU and I put it through this distro block, I give myself 3 24 volt connection points. One for this, one for the board, and then if I end up using this module for the Raspberry Pi, I'd have another outlet for that. So I think what I do is I think I spin this around. Well, I was going to turn it so that I have a direct line to this volt up board, but then I would not have a direct line to my Pi, and so I'd be sort of coming back and looping around. Thinking about the wiring layout here, because right now I'm coming from the PSU, and so either way I'm going to have to loop. So either I loop to this or I loop to the board itself. I think I turn it. That's what we're doing. We're going to spin it. Let's see. I had to use a tool last time. Try not to break anything. There we go. We'll do that. That'll give me access to these zip ties as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'll put this backwards this way. I know that's a little different, but my plan is to run 24 volt from the PSU. I'll run it kind of across the SSR down with these cables here, and then we'll come into the rear side of the block. That'll give me direct access to this one, and then I can just do a short loop over here. I think that's what I'll do. And then we can use the tie down block to hold things. Just need one more zip tie in there. I'm just putting 3. You don't have to use all 3, but if we do, they are available. Okay, next we see. Let's do this one. I will go to my power supply. 1, 2, 3. So negative is there. And then I'm just using the center two because those are right next to one another. I'm going to use this one and this one. You get 3 each, and they're laid out like the block. So I'm using, if you can not see the PSU, I would use the one blue and the one red that are right next to each other. That's what I'm doing over here. So, black near the camera. Flip it over in case I need to add additional wiring. And we'll put red away from the camera, facing down. Like that. Like that. Power one slid out a little bit. There we go. Yeah, you want to make sure it's all the way in there. And so when I tightened the positive, it slid itself out. And so what I'm going to do now is with this wire, I'm going to run that down with my SSR wiring here. So you'll have just a short bundle of cables, sort of like that. And that'll loop around and come into the back of this block. Like so. Slide this down. So I wanted to keep these together so that I have a nice flow of wires, like we talked about earlier in the stream. And then I'll probably just cut those right now. I do my just like that. And then with those being together, you can sort of strip them at the same time. I'm using ferrules on these, so we'll do it like that. And I'll get in there and grab the red one I dropped. Here we go. So Josh, if you're still here, tell me, you built your Mercury. Do you have any other machines? And if you do, what are they? Here in this garage, I've got way too many. Everything from Tridents to Rad Rigs to Creality. There's still one Creality, 2 Crealities over there. I've got LH Stinger and a second SK Cube. There's a couple Deltas around here. There's a couple Bamboos around here. All over the place. Oh, I think I sure did. We should have done a ferrule, and I used a fork instead. That was not paying attention. Will it be long enough if I cut that? I think yes. So we could just snip these off. That's another reason I like doing this without being on stream. Just talking sometimes you get into a rhythm and you don't pay attention. I definitely did not. So the white and the green ferrules are the same size. I'm just gonna go with green on this, because why not? Strip these again. This time we'll do it right with actual ferrules on it. I much prefer these anyway. Those fork terminals with that giant tool, they are a little bit crazy. These ferrules are a lot easier with this tool. Josh has a 300 Trident, Pandora's box, and an ender wire. Might be able to squeeze one more machine into your space. Yeah. Oh, plus the mercury, right? So you have, what, 5? 1, 2... You have 4 printers right now. Is that what I'm understanding? There are roughly... After this one, we'll be back up to 23, I believe. You don't have a mercury. Oh, that was your trident you showed me? I think the skirts are throwing me off. Yeah, oh, sorry. I'm confusing you with Havoc. My bad. My bad. Havoc showed off his mercury, and that was stuck in my brain. You are correct. Somebody else. It was my other girlfriend, as my wife tells me all the time. Like, well, I'll tell her we saw this or we did that. She'd be like, no, you didn't. We didn't ever do that. Like, yeah, we totally did that. She's like, no, that must be your other girlfriend. It's like, there's no other girlfriend. So just tying those together to keep it clean. Yeah, Mercury is Havoc's. Yeah, I confused you guys. Alright, running down together. These will go into the backside of this. On this setup, blue is basically black. I'm gonna go back with a marker. Sorry for being in your way here. I'm gonna go back with a marker and make these blue tabs black tabs. I don't control how they were made. I only control that I can change them. Putting those in there, make sure the latches are good, and just a little tug to make sure that, move this out of the way, that things are good. So that goes like so, right down as clean as possible with all of the wiring that we have. But once we secure that, that's what it's going to look like. We just need some voltage here, which means I need to spin this guy around as well. Actually, we'll leave it that way. We'll run from here. We'll kind of come up around the side and into this. Yeah, we'll do it that way. I was considering kind of coming up through the middle and around, but then I'm gonna need to put another tie down point there. And I don't know that I want to do that. I think I just come around that way to keep things sort of nice. If I need another tie down, I can put it here. And that way it'll keep your wiring secure up against the wall instead of right in the center of where everything is. Like that. I need 2 more wires. I'm going to go into the 24 volt. So. Probably going to connect them to the volt up board first. Strip that a little long, so if I happen to do it a little long, what I will normally do is just kind of fold that over, create like a little loop. It also has the secondary benefit of thickening up the wire in that particular spot. So when you do crimp down on it, hopefully it will grab a little better, a little easier, whatever the case. And the same on this side if my fingers will work. Make that a little bit shorter than it was by crimping, and then you can twist if you like. That seems to work for me. Alright, going into over there, they do have fork terminals, so we will do that correctly this time. I just realized I'm using all blue after I said I was going to use different colors. That's fine. Not the goal, but that's how it worked out. I think it's because I just have a handful of crimps over here. that one, and then we'll do this one over here. Almost there, folks. Almost there. Cool. Now, these are not labeled. I will come in and put a sticky label on here saying 24 volt. Again, just to prevent any craziness. But right now, we're going to be good. Can't see what is what on that side from where I'm at. Luckily, we have a spare that I can use as an example. So, got an extra one here. So, input side is over here. And depending on where you set your jumpers, you're going to have 48 or 60. That one is set to 48 already. And then it also provides 2 always-on fan ports. So one for the cooling fan here. You just shorten your wire down to plug in on this side or that side. And then you have an additional one that you can use for whatever else you want. Maybe you want some side cooling, or if you have it positioned near your board, you can use it to cool your board and electronics as well. So it's nice to have a couple of fan ports around. But the voltage is on the bottom, and you can't see that from the top necessarily. It's very small, way down in there. But voltage is this one. So if I flip that backwards, you have positive on the printer left, negative on the printer right. Put that there for reference. Positive, we said, is on printer left. Need to unloose that. And I did color the terminals with a Sharpie, so that's why they look red. It's just hard to see the one in the rear because it's shaded by the bed. Come on. I feel like the block definitely does not want to unloosen it. So. Okay, I'm gonna get the real screwdriver out now. Don't bump the camera. Try not to bump the camera. So for whatever reason, the screw on that one happens to be really tight. I don't want to strip it. So I'm looking for a better screwdriver. In the meantime, I'm going to put you guys to sleep so we don't make you motion sick. And that way I can move the tripod to get to the back of the toolbox to grab my screwdriver that's not in my toolbox. What did I do with it? Turn you back on. And turn a little bit. There we go. Screwdriver. What did I do with you? I know I was using it the other day to work on the car. Oh yeah, that's the story. So like freaking Monday, I go to start working on this and prep for the stream or whatever. I was going to come out here and work on some stuff on Monday. And of course the wife is like, oh, hey, by the way, I thought you were going to do an oil change on my car. And I was like, yeah, you wait till Monday to tell me that when you're trying to leave tomorrow? So of course, one thing to know on the Corvette, you plan on using the 4-pin fan headers. The F0 port does not work. You have to use the F1 port. Thanks for that. Don't plan to use them, but that's good information. Right now, I think I have jumpers on mine anyway. I don't know they need to be there. I'll remove those. Yeah, I don't plan to use tack fans. I will maybe on the tool head. But anyway, so Monday she's like, oh, well, I thought you were going to do an oil change on my car. I was like, well, yeah, like last week, why are you telling me today? I thought that you had already taken it. Anyway, we get through it. I go through the 7 stages of grief. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So I go out here, crawl under the car, doing this in the driveway, by the way. I'm not going to a shop. In the driveway, crawl under the car, and she's like, comes out and checks on me or whatever, but I'm fighting with this thing. The drain plug is on so tight. Well, back up. Sorry, it starts even before that. I go to the store. Where I'm living, the store, the parts store is 30 minutes one way just to get there, right? So at least an hour round trip, more like an hour 15 round trip just to go get stuff. I go to the store, guy checks me in, he's like, hey, what car, this and that. I tell him. Somehow, homie gets me the wrong stuff. And so I have the correct oil, the wrong oil filter, the wrong air filter. Somehow. Don't know about it until I get home. And so now I'm like, well, crap. I go to the car, find out the oil drain plug is absolutely welded to the pan. Look at the oil filter. I'm like, well, at least I can change the oil filter. It's the wrong one. So I'm like, crap. Box it back up. Another hour and some change round trip to take it back, get the correct stuff, which takes so long for them to process the refund and the replacement that it ended up being like an hour and a half round trip. So that's a thing. We get back, still cannot get the drain plug off, and just give up. And so the DIY hobby store, all the info they want just for one, yeah, exactly. The auto hobby shop here, like the DIY shop that we have, is not open on Mondays, so I have to wait till Tuesday. They also don't open until 11 o'clock on Tuesday. She's trying to leave at noon to go take the kids to catch a flight. So I'm in the hobby shop and trying to get this drain plug off, round it off, which means it's really not coming out. It's so bad, it's so tight on this car that the pro guy that's in there, like the worker person, has to come out and help me do this thing. We are under this car for 30 minutes beating a socket onto a stripped out drain plug, then using a 2-foot breaker bar to be able to break loose the drain plug on her oil. I don't know who changed her oil last or where she got it done last, but I'm not doing that again. Luckily, when I went back to the parts store that second time to do the replacement, I thought ahead because I knew that drain plug was on tight. I just thought I could get it off. But I thought ahead and was like, in case I can't and I end up destroying this thing, let me buy a new one. So I bought a new drain plug, and that saved me. After fighting 30 minutes to get it off, get the plug out of the oil pan, we finally got it, and I was able to replace it with the new one. But holy Christmas, I have never, ever seen a drain plug in so tight like that, to where I can't even get it out. Like using the right tools, all the things, but it's like they put it on with an impact. It was so tight. It was in and tight and wasn't leaking. Yeah, you're right. It was so tight, like it could never leak. Also, you can never change your oil because you can never access the damn plug. Did I really just do that? I think I cut one short and one long. I mean, I think it's going to work. But yeah, that was Monday. And by the end of it, I was so frustrated, I didn't even come out here. I didn't come out here. I didn't prep. I didn't do anything. That's why a lot of this wiring is not done. Because I was just so frustrated by the end of it. But long story short, we got it done yesterday. And I was only about 10 minutes late getting back here. I told her it would take me like 30 minutes. I thought with, being on a lift, I would get more leverage on the bolt and be able to get it out or something, and that just was not the case. Whoever did it before really screwed the pooch and ruined it. Some are meant to have oil sucked to the top. Yeah, you're not wrong. My VW is that way. But usually in that case, they do not have drain plugs whatsoever. This is a 2018 Dodge. It is definitely meant to drain the oil. And my VW, the oil comes out the top. I have a special tool that extracts the oil through the top. I almost thought that's what I was going to have to do if I couldn't get this drain plug out. Like if we had completely rounded it off and were unable to remove it at the hobby shop, then I would have done that because she needed the change. She was about to go on this trip. But that is not normal. That's not how you're supposed to do it on that particular car. My VW, we do it that way. But it's also only recommended. I do it more frequently, but it's recommended at 10,000 miles instead of 5,000. Which is great for like not wanting to do service, but I prefer to do mine every 5, so I do it every 5. Her car, man, she's like terrible about telling me. So I think I'm gonna just have to start tracking it on my own. Like her last oil change was probably like late last year. This is like 6 months ago. But then, you know, it'll be one of those days you come home and be like, hey, my car's making noise. I'm like, oh, okay. How long has it been doing that? Oh, I don't know, like 3-4 weeks. Why didn't you say anything? Why do you wait 3-4 weeks to tell me that? We could have fixed this weeks ago. I'm trying to twist up these wires a little bit. I need a self-charging system like your O2 Blazer? What do you mean self-charging? Self-changing. Self-changing. Yeah, like you mean it leaks? Yeah. I don't know that I've ever had a car that bad. I've always been pretty good about taking care of my vehicles. I'm a car person, so I wash my car, I maintain my car. My wife does not care about that kind of stuff in the same way. As long as it works, like she understands she needs oil change and stuff like that, but as long as it's working and it's not making noise, she's going to drive the wheels off of the car. And sometimes she has. So I don't know. I'm trying to take on that workload so that it doesn't end up being a problem. But also things that take more of my time and are additional tasks, or I can't take on much more without getting completely inundated with stuff and things. Have you could work in a auto body shop. My grandfather used to own a auto body shop. So when I was a kid, we grew up painting cars and sanding cars, and we thought it was fun. That shit sucks now. Sanding anything sucks. I'm gonna need 2 connections here. Let's see, do I have any other, see if we have any more labels. These are extra labels that I've had from other builds. Just kind of hold on to them. I don't see any additional like 24 volt labels or anything in here. That's fine. I was going to put one that said 48, one that said 24. We'll just have to get the label maker out. We'll see if we can make some. I'm going to move the camera slightly. Back a little bit. Be able to reach. I love having this toolbox. It's very deep, but when the camera is where it is now, it makes it difficult to open the box and get the tools. Try to do that gently so we don't make everybody seasick. But I still have this old school label maker here. 48 volt and 24 volt. And then we'll do, what else can I do? What labels are in here? Yep, heat shrink, love it. And a quart is quart a tank of gas? Quart is not a tank of gas. Leave them for the paint supplier week after next. You're done having to hose off before you want. Yes, that's one thing I remember. Granddad would spray us down with compressed air to knock all the dust off before he sent us home. That is a thing. Don't miss it. All right, we got our little label here. Our 24 volt. We'll shrink that down later. Just putting it on for now. And then I know 2 are going in there, and then 2 are going here. So I need 2 ferrules and 2 fork terminals. I'll do the forks first because, man, I really hate doing forks. I'd rather do ferrules for everything. Bigger wires, fork terminals. Smaller wires, prefer probably just this tool. This tool is a pain. It weighs a lot, and it's not very ergonomic for the hand. So it's like really trying to muscle down on it to crimp. That's why I should be a painter, not the body man. Plus the flag hours are better. Painters get to be very creative too. I've seen some really cool paint jobs. My favorite though is what we do on cars now. You have like it looks matte, but it's more of like a flat gray, but it's got a clear coat on it to make it look glossy. All the different manufacturers have their own names for it, but that look is what I like. That's what my VW has, and I really, really enjoy that. Okay, so 24 volt is this middle set, like so. So ground is away from the camera. This is ground. This is positive. Let's go ahead and loosen all of these. We're going to add 48 volt lines for use later. We said that ground is this one here. Loosen that up just a little bit more. Oh, I'll have to put the fork under the freaking thing. Here we go. And then positive is this one here. Again, making sure that we are flipping these upside down so that the fatter end goes down. Like that. And just you collect a bunch, you can apply paint. You'll have a matte clear. Dude, I like the matte clear look. Like until I guess kind of recently, you couldn't really do that until unless you had like what's it like a vinyl wrap. Vinyl wrap kind of unlocked this idea that we could do a matte finish on a car. I think before then people were just kind of hesitant to do that. Everything was gloss unless you went super custom. But this one, what I'm talking about is like the paint itself, like not the top coat. The top coat is gloss, but it is the paint itself, the undercoat or whatever it's called. That portion of it is like a flat kind of color. It's hard to describe what I want to say. If you looked up Moonstone Gray, that's the color of my VW on my Golf. And that's the color I'm talking about. Kia has it. I think Honda has a version of it. All of those like matte kind of colors are really nice for me. Like, if only we could get like matte colored frames. I mean, I guess this one is matte black, but something other than black. I still really want gold. It's hard to find a gold frame. And then if we continue to do 30-30 projects, I would love to see 30-30 in other colors. I know when bear build kits for Mark IIIs were a thing, that you could get orange and purple and some of this other stuff for your bear kit to convert your Prusa over, but that's not a full frame like it would be for this guy. Moonstone looks like, yeah, so Nardo Gray, that's another version of it. I think Nardo is like, I forget the company that does it, but Nardo Gray is a version, Moonstone Gray is a version. Like I said, Honda has a version, Kia has a version. But yeah, that's the, whatever you would use to describe that type of tone of paint, that's kind of what I like, man. It's matte, but it's not matte. I'm not a painter. I don't know the words. Okay, so this is for our 24 volts to the board itself. So that will allow us to run our 2209s plus fans and all the other things on the board. Last thing we need to do is go from our 48 volt board here over to our 48 volt input over here. So a couple more crimps. We'll knock this out and then we'll call the stream. BMW has Nardo on the old M3. Yeah, that's the company, BMW, Nardo Gray. Dude, that M3 though, so sweet. I love a well done M3. Sorry for bumping that camera just now. Kind of in my way. I'd really love it if I could have a Supra though. Like, I so much wanted a Supra instead of the GTI I have. I couldn't find one. This was just not in stock anywhere. And if you could find one, they were so much over MSRP that I just couldn't afford to do that. And it seems now that you can find them a little more easily, but I've already got my Golf. Your wallet, I'll pass. Yeah, if I could get an M3, I would be happy. I like that. I like the two-door version of it. Kind of got the Golf a little bit because it's one of the only cars that you can still get with a manual transmission, and then it's also one of the only cars that's four-door manual hatchback. Again, I still have kids. Wife wants to go on family trips in the cool car sometimes, and so getting in and out easy was a little bit important for me. Really, the only one that rides with me these days is my youngest. She likes to ride in what she calls the fast car. Okay, so we'll go from this point here using our example. Looks like positive is on the left side, negative is on the right side. You don't want to mix 2 and 3. You want to go 1 and 2, or 3 and 4. Luckily, I've already marked them with a Sharpie, so red is on the left. To keep things short, we're going to use 3 and 4. Both do the same. Whatever you select on your jumpers is what you will get on both. Mello recommends not to mix, so you can't have 60 volts on one and 48 on the other. They say that's bad juju, so don't do that. Yeah, these are really tight on there. I don't know why. Trying not to press down so hard that I destroy the port, but they're on very tight. This is the same board that we added to, or the same module that we added to our rat rig. And then I also have one in my Trident 350. That one is also all-wheel drive or quad XY, whatever your preferred terminology is. And they both work fine. The only thing that I would point out is that the fan choice is important. This is a Sunnen Maglev 4010 axial fan. And I chose that because it doesn't whine as badly. It does plug in directly to the board here. That's why you see the short cable. I don't want to run more wiring. So it can be loud. It's going to be on all the time at full blast. So make sure that you have a good fan in here, or you're going to deal with some very annoying noises. That's probably the one thing that drove me nuts. American GTR Camaro with a Vortec 4200 all-wheel drive. Not sure what a GTR Camaro is, but it sounds cool. I used to have, before I got my Golf, I used to have a Nissan GTR, an R33 version. And I ended up selling it because it was just difficult to maintain, difficult to find parts. And I got presented an offer that was more than I would have truly expected. And so I accepted the guy's offer, which is probably the better decision, because now I don't have to worry about maintaining a super, I don't say super rare, but like a super unique car in a country where that car was never produced. And it's actually not produced anymore in its country of origin either. So finding parts is becoming more and more difficult. Even basic replacement parts is difficult to find for that car. And then also it just, I don't know, it attracts attention, which is great, I think, sometimes. But other times you just don't want attention. I don't know. It was my dream car. I had my fun with it. I built it. I wrenched on it a lot. We motor swapped it, like souped it up. It was 700 and something horsepower by the time we were done with it. I had my fun, and then I passed it on. The profit we made on it paid off the wife's car, paid off my motorcycle, which you can't see in today's shot. Maybe on face cam when we get back over there you'll see it. But paid off my bike, paid off her car, and then still had enough to go and put a fat down payment on the GTI that I drive now, which is a more sensible car. That GTR, driving it around, like, you can almost watch the fuel gauge decrease as you're driving. So much fun, but also a little bit not a daily driver. What's up, GTR Dad? Left turns and a right-hand driver so hard. You figure it out. I bought my car when I was in Japan, and drove around Japan for 4 years in that car. Got pretty used to doing that. What was hard for me was coming back to the States. Coming back to the States and trying to drive that car, especially through something like a very small drive-through, like at a bank or especially a Taco Bell. I don't know why Taco Bell decides to make their drive-through so damn small. What they do, in being on the opposite side of the car at a drive-through or any gate checkpoint where you have to reach across the passenger side to show a clearance badge or pay money. Huge pain in the butt. I'll get to your question here in 1 second, GTR Dad. I saw it come through. You want a couple of Skylines? Okay. 32 and a 33. You were in Misawa. I was in Okinawa. I've been to Misawa several times. Actually stayed a week there when we got snowed in. Did I really just do that? Come on. So, talking too much. Put ferrules where we should have forks. Ferrules will work just fine. You just kind of crimp them in there. I'm just going to do that. We'll just put them in there. I don't feel like changing that. That'll be a future problem. But I was in Okinawa. I got my 33 there. I sort of wish that I kept it, but other days I don't. It's a big car. It's a very big car. We'll fix these later. And when I say later, I mean like maybe we fix these later. I do like, so as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking like, you know, it's pretty clear that that's different. So if these are all 24, that is clearly different. That looks like 48, even though we have a label here. I do like that that stands out. So maybe we leave it like that. And it's fine. It's not going to just come out or anything like that. Now we can zip tie some of this stuff together to clean it up, and then we'll call the stream. How's that sound? Going a little longer than normal, almost at the 4-hour mark, just to do a little bit of wiring here. GTR Dad, what were you doing in Misawa? What was your job in Misawa? I'm gonna guess. Tell me if I'm wrong. Fighter jet maintainer. That's gonna be my guess. Fighter jet maintainer of some kind. I can't guess your specialty, but in general, that's what I'll say. Retired military Air Force. Not ammo. Pretty close. That was gonna be my next guess. It's either ammo or maintainer. One of the two. That's good. When did you retire? Pretty recent? Or you've been out a while? Trying to get all the wiring together so I can get the zip tie out of there. I don't know why it's wanting to mess with me. You say you were ammo. That's still a 2 alpha. I had that conversation like a week ago. We were joking around with one of the guys, and they were like, "No, I'm ammo." And I'm like, "That's like the same as a maintainer. Still a 2 alpha." Ordnance, 2015. Been a dad hobby collector since. That's awesome, dude. I can't wait to get there. I'm over 20. I could retire as soon as September of next year. I am at 23 years right now, so a little over. Eligible. I really just wanted to come out here and do this job, and so I went over my timeline when I could have retired a couple of years ago. But I'm having fun. I enjoy what I do, and I like the job that leadership brings. So I'll probably stay as long as it's fun. I kind of always have said that, and I'm still having fun. So as long as that continues to be the case, I will continue to serve as long as I can, I think. And then we'll figure out what I want to do when I grow up. Being a dad and a hobby collector would be cool. Having 2 GTRs would be cool. But honestly, having owned an older one, I got my fill. I'm good. I'm not attached emotionally to things and stuff like that. I could lose all of it and just be fine. Which is why it wasn't a huge ordeal for me to sell that car. Be a YouTube streamer. Yeah, so GTR Dad, I don't know how long you've been on my stream or watching my channel or anything. I stream to YouTube not because I want to be a streamer, but because this is how I get projects. If I have a commitment that I need to meet each week, it forces me to be a little more proactive during the week, and then I get to I'm out here every weekend anyway. I'll say this. I'm out here every weekend anyway. Why not turn a camera on and film me talking to myself instead of just talking to myself anyway? It's the wife's idea. She got me the camera. She's the one that motivated me to be here. And so we are. That's that. I'm gonna do one more tie there to kind of keep those together and sort of wrap those wires around one another. They're all power wires, so there should not be any interference. Cleaner, we can keep things. Trying to clean up as. Make sure you cut your zip ties. Don't be a barbarian. Cut them flush too. You don't cut yourself. What's up, MakerMind Nexus? Thanks for popping in. Don't be that guy. Cut the tie. I like that. And I don't know if this is going to be pertinent anymore. But folks, that's what we got done today. I really need to call the stream now. It's going to be lunchtime soon. I've got a couple other errands to run. We'll be back on Sunday, 07:15 Pacific time, finishing up the rest of the build. I will probably come out here a little later this afternoon, do a little more wiring and whatnot. But this right here is about the best that I can do as far as making things look clean and presentable. So we got mains wiring done. We've got wiring to the SSR done. And then we have 48 volts installed. We've got our little bit of a 24 volt breakout over here. I'll probably do one more zip tie there to clean that up. And then I need basically a way to find a 5 volt source to power my Pi. And really don't want to use something like that, but if we have to, we have to. Maybe I zip tie it to the top of there. I think that clears the cover. I feel like it does. Maybe we zip tie that there to save some real estate. Otherwise, you could mount it to the DIN rail with a bracket, or you could VHB it to the bottom. I prefer not to do that, but we got a few different avenues of approach on this. We'll figure out what makes sense. You're in Arizona. Okay. Okay, let me go back a little bit. Let's see. All Walmart t-shirts and basketball. Okay. This is the shirt I got on right now. A Walmart t-shirt. And I don't have basketball shorts on, but I definitely got training shorts on and Crocs. That's my my outfit. I usually do before streaming, I'll go still train, try to maintain strength, and whatever I got on is what I stream in. Let's see what else we're talking about here. Quad XY machines and run motor sync. Do you just use the beacon as the sensor? No. Well, it depends. So I personally do not use beacon or anything like beacon as my accelerometer. I use the toolhead board. That's personal preference. You can use the beacon if you like. All you need is some sort of accelerometer attached to the tool head that you feel is reliable enough to give you vibration feedback. Okay, so if that's a beacon for you, go for it. If that's a tool head board for you, go for it. I use tool head board because it's the most rigidly mounted thing that I have. The beacon's sort of, you know, mounted underneath on a lever arm, so as it shakes, it could shake more. Little stream set for tomorrow. Hey, I'll try to tune in. Maker My Nexus. GTR Dad, I live in California now, near Lancaster. Yeah, Dan, I will be here Sunday 07:15. Love to have you if you can make it. If not, we'll see you on your stream sometime. Finally caught a live stream. Okay. Yeah, appreciate you being here. I normally do not stream on Wednesdays. For me, this is an oddball because I'm not at work. The family is gone. It is summertime for the kids, so they are at grandma's house. If I can get more Wednesdays off or take a half day or something like that and can get out here, I may do more. The issue is it gets really hot out here. And right about 11 o'clock noon, it starts to get super hot. It is already 90 and the garage heats up pretty well. I don't need you to see me sweat. You've always used the Cardo? I mean, you can. Flip-flops and socks. Love it. Mine is Crocs and socks. I don't like the thing between my toes. I don't like flip-flops. I would use slides before I use flip-flops. I have made a mess of everything around me. There's crap here. I'll show you this real quick. This is the desk after today. Like, there's just crap everywhere. Like, stuff. Just need a stream room. I would love a stream room. However, my house I've got 4 bedrooms. The wife has a craft room, and I get the garage. My projects take up more space than her projects. She does sewing and like bead stuff, like beading, and she does Cricut stuff. Her laser's actually out here. I call it our laser because I use it a lot more than she does. So I've got a wall of printers over there, a wall of filament over there, and for that reason I need more space than just what a room could provide. And then so 4-bedroom house, 1 is our room, 2 for the kids, and then she gets a craft room, which means I'm in the garage. Time for a port. Yes, yeah, you're the like 3rd or 4th or 7th person to tell me I need a portable AC. On the list of to-do things, just hasn't been a priority lately to do it. Maybe I'll get one. This is our first summer here in this house. Still filling it out. Right now, even though it's 90, it's not terrible. Probably because I've been out here and just kind of eased into it. If I had to walk out here at like 2 p.m. and start a stream, I would hate life. I've also got the garage door open back there, so that helps with airflow a little bit. And then we've got the side door open over here to create a cross breeze. Use one in your shop. I need to get one. Where'd you get yours from? I'm looking for affordable, not necessarily the cheapest, but affordable. Don't even say it's a dry heat. It kind of is a dry heat. I live in the Mojave Desert. It's a dry heat. Like literally every morning I walk out my door, I could find anything from a bobcat to a coyote to a rattlesnake to scorpions, desert lizards, like all the things that you would see in a typical desert, we have here. Mini split, I can't. We rent the house. I don't own the house. I can't do a mini split. I would love to. I really would. I can't do a mini split. Facebook. I'll look at Facebook. Let's see. What brand of power tools? Kegel, I use Hart power tool. Walmart brand. They work well and they're affordable. I don't know that you need name brand to do. If I wasn't doing Hart, I might move towards Ryobi if I were going for something else. But all of our garden stuff is Hart. So like, I'll show you. So like the blower over here that I use to blow out the garage when it gets dusty is Hart branded. Our Weed Whacker is Heart branded. My impacts, my drill, like it's all Heart brand stuff. Could I do a quick overview of what was yeah, you don't have to be sorry. I can do that. Portable only needs event. Yeah, I'll look for a portable, but for, man, I'm trying to figure out how to say it. Acozad 1. I'm doing my best. If I said it wrong, let me know. Yeah, we'll do a quick overview. We'll take you back to the toolbox. We'll do an overview, and then we'll call the stream right at about the 4-hour mark. So this is the Inertia³. It is a 3D printer build, kind of similar to a Voron Trident, but it uses a 3030 frame and Acozad, got it. And it uses linear rods on the y-axis. It also has 4 XY motors, what we call quad XY or all-wheel drive, and that's about it. What we did today was install some electronics. So power supply, SSR, and 48-volt converter were all in here when we began. We added in these components here. So this is the main board and the Raspberry Pi, and then we just connected wiring in between. So we did some mains wiring in the back, which takes power from the wall, and took that over to the PSU. We took the SSR over to the board so it triggers on, and then we wired up the 48-volt converter to supply 48-volt power to the main board itself. We still have to do power for the Raspberry Pi. I've got to connect a couple fans here. We've got to do bed wiring down to the SSR, and then I need to figure out a solution for running a CAN bus line. So I need to use this. I've taken this out of another project, so it's already prepped, ready to go to mount to a DIN rail. This will allow us to use a CAN connection on this board because one does not exist currently. We still need to do tool head wiring, and I still need to do belts. So kind of there, I'd say we're like 70% there. Still a lot of wiring to do. But I plan to finish that off stream. Hopefully by Sunday when we come back, I'll have that done for you. We may even have belts installed. We'll put a tool head on it. We kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit talking about firmware and some of the issues. So that first hour we were just running through some challenges. Yeah. I'm going to say if they own DeWalt, they have a great portable fan that uses a 110 cord. I don't care about mixing and matching brands. That's not important to me. I would go buy a DeWalt portable fan if it made sense. What matters to me is it's got to be decent quality. I don't want the cheapest thing on the market, but I don't want the most expensive thing. And it's got to be useful. So I don't need, this is the name, I'm not cussing on stream. The Big Ass Fan Company. Oh, didn't mean to do that. The Big Ass Fan Company. Go back. They make a giant fan that you can use, and it's just too big for my space, so I don't need that. Let me zoom this back out to where we were. I forgot that this thing does hand signals. If you throw gang signs at it, it zooms in on you and whatever. There we go. Back to normal. So I don't really care about the brand so much. If you do get portable, do not get a single hose. Single hose. Is that the one where you add water to it and it like does a like a condensing? It acts like a swamp cooler. Is that what we're talking about? Not get a single hose. Huge fan, 6 or 7 feet. Yeah, I don't need a 6 or 7 foot fan. I don't have room for that. Yuri, you have to explain what a single hose is. I think you're talking about the condenser style thing, but I'm not sure. I know I gotta do a lot of cleaning up around here after we get done. I literally have stuff all over every workspace, and that drives me nuts. I gotta stay organized. cool, folks. If there are no other questions or comments in the chat for anybody, we're gonna call the stream. What toolhead board are you using on this? Good question. Glad you asked that before we left. I put it somewhere. We were talking about it. I put it somewhere. I don't know where I put it, which is another reason I need to clean up, because I need to find the board. But it's called a Mellow SHT V3. You can find it on AliExpress or I believe mellow.com or whatever. Mellow has its own website now. You can go there and buy their stuff directly without being on AliExpress. And that's what it's called. I was playing with it earlier. We were talking about it. I moved it out of my way, and I'm not sure where I moved it to. But that's what I plan to use. I just don't know what I did with it. I would show you. I just don't know where it's at. So that's going to be the toolhead board. If you care about hot ends and such, we're going to use the Reaper. The Reaper. We're going to use this for the toolhead, and a unreleased hot end that I can't talk about. For an extruder, we're going to use the Orbiter 2.5, and we'll add the mellow boards to that. I'm going to use the IDM. Yes, I'm going to use the IDM scanner that comes with it. The other side of the carriage that's mounted on the printer right now has that portion installed. Wow, not the one designed for the project. No, not the one designed for the project. I don't have one on hand. Havoc, the goal for this project is to use the parts that I have. I needed to get a frame. So I got a frame, I got linear rods because I didn't have those. And I needed linear rails for the portions that need rails. Other than that, everything else I've put onto the build is what I had in stock. So we got frame, rods, rails, motors for the Z-axis. Everything else is stuff that I have on hand. So that's why some of the choices are a little bit different than what you might see. It's easy to go with an octopus and a big tree tech board and keep it 24 volt and just run the, I don't know, a stealth burner on it, whatever. But that's been done. Like, this is completely different. Use the i3 toolhead on your Trident now. It really works great. That's awesome, dude. I'm glad you like it. I did not have the parts to make the extruder for the i3 toolhead. So you need like a little bit from a BMG. You need a little bit from a Galileo 2. Maybe not a BMG. I'm thinking maybe it's Orbiter in Galileo 2. Regardless, you need parts from 2 separate extruders to make the one extruder. I didn't have everything I needed. But I did have a spare Orbiter that I could use. So that's why. And you're right, Ikozad. That's killing 2 extruders to make one doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If there was a kit where I could just mix and match and get what I needed, that'd be different. But that's not the case yet. So I hear it's in works, maybe a thing in the future, but right now that's not the case. I chose to use up parts that I had. Oh, cool. Thanks for getting here and hanging out with me on a Wednesday. We're gonna go ahead and call the stream. Appreciate all 13 of you hanging out for the duration. We've been here 4 hours at this point. I'm hungry. You're probably still at work or about to leave soon. Go do your things. If you want to come back on Sunday, we'll be continuing on with the build. You'll see the progress that we've done. Hopefully have all the underdeck wiring done. Maybe even for the bed as well. I'll have the belts on, and we'll probably have the tool head on at that point. So hopefully it'll just be commissioning the printer, kind of doing a quick overview of what we did, and that's kind of about the build, right? So pretty close to being done. I just need to focus and push through. But thank you all. We'll see you Sunday, 0700, 0715 Pacific time, not Eastern, Pacific time. And we'll get there and we'll do a recap, okay? See you guys in 4 days. Enjoy the rest of your week. Love you lots. Mean it. Bye.